Reconvene the Mount Diablo School Board to open session for April 26th, 2018. Start with a quick roll call. Trustee Durkee. Here. Trustee Hanson. Here. Trustee Mayo. Here. Trustee Lawrence. Here. Our trustee for the night, Kim Gonzalez. Here. And as always, you're welcome to stay the entire meeting or leave when you need to, and you can chime in anytime you want. Just don't get to go. I am Chair Mason, and I am now going to turn this over to the JROTC.
Ready, face. Freeze, Dan. On. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, color. Right, face. Forward, mark.
All right, thank you to that. Is the JROTC from Olympic, I believe. And would their director like to come up and say, introduce yourself and tell us brief little something about your students?
I'm Sergeant A.G. of the JROTC at Olympic High School. The students that performed for you tonight were Amanda, she's a captain, and Talijah Lewis, second lieutenant. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, report out from action taken in closed session. 7.1 was possible expulsion of students 17-18 from all regular schools in Mount Diablo Unified School District.
Madam President, I move that students 17-18 be expelled from all schools of the Mount Diablo Unified School District, and that students 17-18 may apply for readmission after Friday, December 21st, 2018. Prior to readmission, students 17-18 must participate in 20 hours of individual counseling to address appropriate behavior and anger management, participate in California Offender Program Services, COPS, for anger management, and show evidence of a successful school experience with no suspendable infractions, earn 50 credits, and have a 90% attendance rate.
Second.
And that passes 4-1. 7.2, admission of student B-18 into Mount Diablo Unified School District. The board gave direction to staff on that item. 7.3, confidential student matters. The board received information on that item and then gave direction. 7.4, possible litigation. There was one item that we gave direction, the other we just received information. And that takes us to our public comment. The public may address the board regarding any item within the jurisdiction of the Board of Education of the Mount Diablo Unified School District that is not on this agenda. These presentations are limited to 3 minutes each, or a total of 30 minutes for all speakers, or the 3-minute limit may be shortened. If there are multiple speakers on any one subject, the public comment period may be moved to the end of the meeting. Speakers are not allowed to yield their time.
The Board of Education operates under the Brown Act. That allows us to do one of three things during public comment. We can ask a clarifying question, we can refer you to a staff member, or we can put your item on a future agenda. So if you're here to state your concern or to tell us some action you'd like us to take, it's not going to happen tonight. We're just here to listen to public comment. So know that we are hearing you and that we will deal with it appropriately.
Okay, so we have 20 public comments tonight. So
I think we're going to shorten them to 2 minutes. And if something, a concern you have has already been expressed,
then you may want to pass when it comes to you. First is Sasha Hickman.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Sasha Hickman. I am a proud parent of 2 Rocket Ship Futuro Academy Rocketeers. And I
Turn the mic on.
That better? Okay. Can I start over? Okay. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Sasha Hickman. I am the proud parent of 2 Rocket Ship Futuro Academy Rocketeers, and I currently serve as the president of the school site council. As you may know, Rocket Ship Futuro Academy moved into the Glenbrook Middle School campus on July 31st, 2017. And although we are now able to operate our wonderful school, there is one thing missing. All of the elementary schools within the Mount Diablo Unified School District have playgrounds except for ours. Our campus currently serves 317 students from grades transitional kindergarten to 3rd grade, all of which do not have access to a playground. We, the parents of Rocket Ship Futuro Academy, are here tonight to officially submit our petition for the construction of a playground at Rocket Ship Futuro Academy. With me, I have 191 letters signed by the parents from Rocket Ship Futuro Academy. In addition, we also created an online petition which has now more than 250 signatures. This is our official notice to the Mount Diablo Unified School District to provide us with a detailed timeline by Friday, May 12, 2018 as to how and when the playground will be built by August 15, 2018. Thank you for your time. Can I pass this to you?
sure.
Next is Deborah Bourne.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Deborah Bourne, and my daughter is a 3rd grader at the Bancroft two-way dual immersion program in the 3rd grade. We have come in the past and shared how much we love the program and are so happy that you decided to move forward with that program 4 years ago. But now we're about 2 years away from middle school, and based on discussions with Jose Espinoza and Carmen Garces, amongst others within the district, we understand that there are no formal plans in flight to make sure that the program continues. So we wanted to come tonight just to remind the board that as a group of parents, we really want to see this program continue. And we would like to respectfully request that someone be assigned as a special project to actually work on coming up with a proposal for a site, as well as what the model of that program would look like by the end of the summer, so that we have sufficient time to ensure that our students will have somewhere to go when they reach 6th grade. So again, thank you for the program, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anna Johnson? Hello. Hello. My name is Leanna DeLuca Johnson. Sorry. And I am the bilingual mother of a first grader in the two-way dual immersion program. And I second how much my son is doing extremely well in both languages, Spanish and English, and we have tremendous support for him to continue to be successful. We would also like a plan in action for future middle school transition from there. And I also have twins that are hopefully going to be in the program next year. So I appreciate the program continuing, and we would like someone to sign to put a plan in place. Thank you. Thank you. Angela Sandoval. Hello? Okay. Hi, my name is Angela Sandoval, and I have a third grader and a kindergartner in the two-way dual immersion program at Bancroft. And I just came today to reinforce our interest and support for the program continuing to middle school. And I'm part of a active group of parents who are looking to help move that along into program in the middle school that will be beneficial to the continuation of their language skills that they've developed thus far, and are just wanting to encourage the school district to continue looking into options and really considering all of the potential models and locations that will benefit the students in the best way. Thanks.
Thank you. D. Guapa? Probably ruined that name, but it's just a initial in Guaba. And this one has just a email address, Rios Loans, no name. It's about Bancroft. Rudy Byers. Tatiana Espinoza.
Way back here.
Oh, okay. We'll wait for you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here from Bancroft Elementary. I have a third grader in the TWDI program, and I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I love this program. I wish it had been implemented years ago so my other two children would be a part of it, but I'm excited that I'm a part of it now. I'm here to encourage you to continue our program onto middle school, to encourage you to develop a program for us or for the many schools that are bilingual in our district, and to ask respectively if we could have a model and a location by the end of this summer 2018. I'm so nervous, but thank you so much. That's all I had to say.
Thank you. Samantha Chang.
Hi, my name is Samantha Chang, and I'm also a parent of actually two students at Bancroft Elementary in the two-way dual immersion program, my third grader and a kindergartner. And I also want to say thank you very much for this program. I love the program, and I love how this program benefits the whole community. It benefits Bancroft, bringing so much diversity and bringing more of a unification, which is like not that we're unified, just we should be united. And I really feel that having a continuation of this program into middle school is not going to just benefit our students, it's going to benefit all the other students in the district who could, are currently in dual immersion programs. And also it benefits the schools because it brings together a lot of people that maybe wouldn't have had a chance to even get to know each other. And I really, really thank you for this program. And I also just want to agree with what my other co-parents have said about we would really like to have somebody who's specifically assigned so that that person will be kind of the expert, know what we need, what all the other dual immersion schools need, and so they can figure out something. And we said by the end of this summer, simply so that we can work with what we have, know what's going on, so we can have a peace of mind. And thank you again so much. We love the program, and it has been really great. Thank you.
Thank you. John Ferrante.
Good evening. I didn't get to finish up last time because I ran out of time. This is still about Dale Scott. It's really sleazy to ask people, how do you feel about 2.5 cents per $100 of assessed valuation, and then ask them how they feel about $25 per $100,000 of assessed valuation. It's the same number. You're playing people for suckers if you do the 2.5. People are going to see 2.5 cents and their lives are going to light up and go, yeah, that's cool. I can do that. The results show that. There's an 8 percentage point swing on this. If you go with the 2.5 cents, people are not going to be happy when they find out that it's $25. They will find out. So please don't do that. As for the last page, in terms of source of information, our local paper, such as it is, has not had an educational reporter for at least 3 years, if not 4. So how 32% say they get their information from the local newspaper is mind-boggling. I don't understand that one. So that whole result sheet needs to be thrown away. It cannot be counted on. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria Velasquez.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Maria Velasquez. I'm parent of one Rocketeer. I'm here to ask all the members of the board to build a playground of Rocket Ship Futura Academy. The students need to be active in order to grow and develop their capacities. And the playground is important to help them to learn and develop their emotional and social skills. Please give my Rocketeer and other Rocketeers the playground they deserve. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Heather Sillin.
Good evening. My name is Heather Aslin. I am a teacher at Monty Gardens. I am also a parent of 3 students at Monty Gardens. Tonight I am here on behalf of my youngest daughter. She is a first grader at Monty Gardens in the SDC class and spends 35% of her day in a gen ed classroom. She has CP, is legally blind, and suffers from intractable epilepsy. With news of the decision that her next year's class numbers will be at 30, I am urging you to reconsider your decision. At Monty Gardens, the class size average K through 3 is currently at 23.69 and is projected to increase to 26 next year with a cut of 1 FTE. This means that although our K through 3 average will go up to 26, the second grade class size will increase to 30. If our school kept the FTE position, our average would be 24.07. This is our end goal to reach 24:1 in K through 3. If we have reached our goal, why are we cutting this position? There is evidence to show that lower class sizes are beneficial for all learners. There is no argument around that. The evidence speaks for itself. For students like my daughter with disabilities, sensory disorders, ADD, ADHD, spectrum disorder, we know that smaller class sizes are best. For students who are not disabled nor have learning disabilities, we know that smaller class sizes are best. In our last MDOSD Connections newsletter, our district wrote that we are in healthy financial position. So I ask, why are we cutting teachers and raising class sizes? I am urging you to consider my daughter and all students as you continue to support our district's decision to cut positions and raising class sizes. She is not just a number or a figure on a budget spreadsheet. She deserves the attention of her teacher, being mainstreamed with equal access to a class size that all other grades, first, kinder, and third, will receive next year at her school. Please do what is best for our students and reverse this decision at Monty Gardens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board. I spoke to you 2 weeks ago about the issue of class sizes at Monty Gardens Elementary. The state has declared its intention. Children in grades K1, 2, and 3 should have class sizes of 24. The state has dedicated billions of dollars to get class sizes down to 24 through grade span adjustment funding. The state told our schools, get your class sizes down. Here is money to help with that. Move from where you are to 24. Research has shown that smaller class sizes are better for student learning. Monty Gardens Elementary is there right now, 24. Taking away a teacher and forcing Monty Gardens class of 2022, this year's first graders who are next year's second graders, from their current class sizes of 21 and 23 up to class sizes of 29 and 30 hurts them. It drives their site GSA average up over 26. Don't move backwards. Don't hurt our kids. Restore the position now. Ensure that the class of 2022 will keep the small class sizes they already have. I have been reaching out. I spoke to the Associate Superintendent of Elementary. I spoke to 3 of the board members. Board Member Durkee, thank you for returning my email. Board Member Mayo, thank you for returning my email. Board Member Lawrence, thank you for returning my email. I appreciated the conversations we were able to have. I spoke with Dr. Meyer as well. This is a problem that can be fixed. There are all kinds of excuses being presented, and they are all shallow, and they are all BS. You have the money to do it. You have state law asking you to do it. You have research that says this class size is good for our kids. You have the teachers there right now. You have the numbers where they need to be right now. Please undo the cut, restore the position, and have our kids keep the small class sizes they already have now, which are in line with the law. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting us speak our concerns. My name is Angelica Navarro, and I have a wonderful daughter, Elizabeth. She's in kindergarten at Bancroft. I consider myself bilingual. I learned English when I was 20. And I'm here because I want a support. I requested someone to be assigned for the two-way dual immersion on elementary school, not just middle school. I request a timeline that by the end of the summer of 2018 to be something for our kids. I also request a proposal of a location and program curriculum that can help our kids. When I heard about the dual immersion program, I was so excited. I was so happy. Sorry, I'm really emotional. My mother-in-law said that when she was at school, she was
they told her not to speak Spanish. Now our school district is telling you different things. So why not to continue just from elementary to middle school? Our kids deserve that. It's California and them, giving a support of knowing a second language. It's very important, and to continue that program will be great for all the students that are at Bancroft right now and the future kids that are coming to that school. Thank you so much. We love the school, and my husband just speaks English, so he was also very excited to learn that Bancroft has that program. So we want that continuation, not just to middle school, also to elementary schools. And we want a location, we want somebody to support that program, not just at elementary school. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. I'm Jen Harris. This is my husband Marty, and we're here to talk about the family life curriculum that's coming this year. So it's nice to be in a place where it's not contentious to talk about it. So thanks for letting us talk, and we will also be respectful. We can talk about the curriculum at a different point, maybe, or a little later. But we just wanted to focus on how it's changed this year. It's a big, big, big change from last year and every other year. And we're not saying that there shouldn't be any change, but parents, although we were notified with a letter home that was a white piece of paper with, just like a standard notice home, that they would be learning this stuff, there was no real information given. And so parents, we feel like we weren't really informed, and we came to I came to the parent meeting that was held at the other building, and they said they wanted the curriculum to be fact-based and unbiased and medically accurate and age appropriate, and that's a big red flag for me. Age appropriate. The information that's in there is not age appropriate at all, and we, as a family, are not opposed. Our kids know about the sex ed, and we've had conversations, and they know. But we're not sitting for 40 minutes with other kids and talking about it and having them work in small groups, which seems totally counterproductive to what you're trying to do if you have them, working on the reproduction cycle together. And also, let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to go outside this one just to say. So it just feels like, for example, I'm on this committee, not a committee, but just like a focus group to figure out how to send the CAST information to parents, okay? So there was nothing offered like that for us. Where was that committee when they were trying to decide if this was the curriculum that they wanted to go with for the family life? I feel like that it almost feels, and I'm not, pointing because it almost feels like it was snuck under, we're going to do it, we're not going to say. I don't feel like the parents who, on the Mount Diablo Unified School District website, it says that, that the parents, let's see, we want you to have an active role in the educational affairs of the school district. And I feel like that, we are a public school, and that's something important that we all work together. The teachers weren't even aware of it until the training happened, and they're not happy about it. And I've talked to Karen Clark, who says they are happy about it. That is not true. I know lots of teachers, they are not happy about it. Parents aren't happy about it, but parents don't know. They don't know what is being taught. So,
That's your time.
Okay, thank you.
We heard you.
Thank you.
Kristen Butcher.
Hi, my name is Kristen Butcher. I'm a parent at Money Gardens Elementary. It's hard to talk with Dan, and as one have already said, and I just am coming here to second that and ask that you reconsider the reassignment of one of our teachers, and by doing so, increasing the class size for my first grader. Going from 24 to 29 or 30 kids is a huge impact on her day. Sorry, I'm pushing about this. When that teacher was added to our school, it was with the understanding that they were solid as children throughout until they get to 4th grade and 5th grade, when their class sizes would naturally increase which is only 2 more years. And I'm asking that you please can reconsider and allow that teacher to stay with our school so that our class sizes can stay at 24. An extra 4 or 5 kids doesn't seem, or 5 or 6, doesn't seem like a huge impact on a piece of paper, but when you're in the classroom, it's an entire another table, a small reading group, and having an extra couple kids like that in class, it makes a huge impact on the amount of time that the teacher can spend with the children, working one-on-one. So please reconsider that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, honored board, and Dr. Meyer. Nice to see you again. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with Dr. Meyer and Deborah Mason last week, and the district finally admitted to me that the curriculum, the sexuality education material, never made it in front of the board and the superintendent for a discussion. So I'm looking forward to that discussion tonight. They admit they never saw it, and the first that they had heard of it was about 2 months ago during my first public comment. I am somewhat incredulous that this could be true. And I asked myself, like, how did that happen? Isn't there a committee who is supposed to bring new curriculum before this board? Perhaps it's a committee of one, I don't know. In their own silo was what I was told. So the board and the superintendent were unaware. Personally, I'm not entirely buying that. You are responsible, no matter how it came about. That's your job. Please investigate how that came about. I would really like an answer to that. At the time that I made some comments 2 to 3 years ago, I thought perhaps we'd see an increase in pregnancy because the information might be too explicit, because this has been going on since about 2012. There's been this big change in what they were going to start teaching, even all the way down to kindergarten. However, I was wrong. It's not pregnancy that's increasing, but it's STDs and HIV in youth, 13 to 24, who are engaging in sexual behavior that I can't mention in front of these children. Yes, I believe it is a direct result of perhaps age-inappropriate material not presented in a way at age-appropriate times that would inform and influence our 13 to 24-year-old kids. They're not using protection, and we've got STDs, according to the CDC, for the 3rd year in a row that are at an all-time high in America. And in fact, the USA has the highest rate of HIV, STDs in the industrialized world. That is amazing.
I'm going to ask you to end on that note. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam
George
President,
Fillmore?
that item's on the agenda. Shouldn't people be talking to them?
They should.
Thank you.
George Fillmore?
Superintendent, board, and general public, this is fun. Huh? Just about everybody's turned out tonight. It's great. A whole array of subjects. So we got another one. As you know, in the past, I've been critical of the state level certificate of bilingualism that is, I just find very hard to achieve and very limited. So I've thought about how you change that and have some ideas, but somehow you stuck in last year this pathway to bilingualism, which I just learned about this last week or last week in the BLAC meeting, and this is terrific. So this is the idea that 5th graders get a certificate to be on track of being academically bilingual, and that's tough. But I volunteer, as you may know, in a bilingual Spanish class at Ignacio Valley Elementary, and by definition, just about these kids come bilingual at the kindergarten level, certainly in Spanish and 90% plus in English as well. So, but there hasn't been a real incentive to stay on track. So this provides perhaps that incentive. And the district, unlike the charter schools and private schools, do have private bilingual classes, K through 5, that allow kids and promote kids to keep their academic bilingualism up. So you get to 5th grade, and then they're talking about doing this at the 8th grade. And, you know, the longer you can keep this going, and some incentive for kids to be academically bilingual is terrific. So I really applaud this. I think it's a great idea. Now, whether they make it at high school is another thing. That's AP Spanish, and it's way out there, and the state makes the test very hard. But certainly you get to 8th grade and beyond, and if you're academically bilingual, that's great. My wife is bilingual, a native Spanish speaker, but even she, now she's doing a translation project. She's having trouble with some of the words and translations and this and that. So she can speak and listen all day, but you know, even she has trouble sometimes with the academic stuff. So I really applaud this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Can't make out the first name, but Del Rio? Is it Diana? Ivana.
My name is Devana Del Rio, and I have a child in the Spanish dual immersion program at Bancroft. We absolutely love the program. As a person that comes from a Latin background and have a husband from a Spanish-speaking country as well, this program is extremely important for us in our community. It is really hard as a parent to not know the path that your child is going to take. Right now, we have this wonderful program that only goes to elementary. Our current cohort is in 3rd, going into 4th grade next year, and we are requesting that somebody please be assigned to find us a path that leads them to middle school. Somebody that has the background, that can help us get there. Everyone in the school is super motivated. When the program was first introduced, most of the parents, everybody was under the impression that this program was going to continue into middle school and high school, and we're just asking that promise please be kept. As I mentioned, this program is imperative and really important to the community, and we would love to see some action into that. We would like to see a timeline by summer and a proposal with the location and the actual program by early next year, because we have kids that are going into the 4th grade, and we would really like to find them a home for middle school. Thank you.
Thank you. Gabriel Ovadia? Mike with you?
I have another question.
Okay.
My name is Gabriel, and I would really like it if the class sizes could stay the same what they were. If they were bigger, they wouldn't have be more. They wouldn't have more noise, and it'll be hard for other people to learn.
Thank you, Gabriel.
Good evening, board. My name is Mike Ovadia. I serve as treasurer of the Diablo District Parent Club, and I also have a current 1st grader, Gabriel, who just spoke. I'm going to take a little different tone than some of my counterparts, but instead of worrying about how you can destroy schools and programs, why don't you spend your time building up a school? You should be working as our representatives to make decisions that will enhance our children's education. Leaving the class sizes as they are is asking what I'm asking you to do. You say you make these decisions. You say these decisions are being made because of declining enrollment. We have a wait list at Monte Gardens. You say enrollment is declining across Mount Diablo Unified. Would these actions of increasing class sizes What choices are you giving parents to go to other schools, other districts? Monty Gardens has excellent teachers and staff and academic scores, and time again I see you use ambiguous language to change things to the detriment of our children's education. What you are doing is wrong, and if we have our children in mind, what you are doing is inexcusable. I encourage you to reconsider this before you make another mistake.
Thank you. Rudy Vargas.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. Sorry I'm late. I'm here also for the Bancroft TWBI program. I have kids in that program. I have 2 daughters in it. One's in 3rd grade, one's in kindergarten. I have twin boys that'll be coming up in a few years. They're also going to be going there in the dual immersion program, hopefully. We love it there. It's great. When we first heard about the program, we had a lot of families that have been going to preschool that was full immersion Spanish because they wanted their kids to learn Spanish. And some of those families chose not to go or try out for the Bancroft dual immersion. They didn't want to try out or attempt to go into a new program that they weren't comfortable with because it was so new. We were comfortable with it. We did want to do it, and we committed to it. And our understanding was it was supposed to go through high school. That was what we had heard. So when I heard last year that that was not happening, it was a shock. And honestly, I'm disappointed that nothing has happened for a couple of years. I know Jose is involved. I don't know if he's here today or not, but and there's been some work towards it now that you guys hear that there's an interest. But it feels like we have to jump through hoops to do something that you guys started, right? So all we're asking is that you get someone assigned to help us get to middle school, at least. And then we'll take the next step after that. And if we can have it by the end of the summer, that would be awesome because we have very little time. There's a lot of work to do. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our public comment. And I would like to thank all of you for coming down today to share your concerns and thoughts with the board. Staff and board have heard your concerns, and we will be moving on now to recognitions and resolutions. Dr. Meyer?
Yes, if I could please ask Chris Holloran to come to the podium. We're very excited tonight to recognize Olympic High School and Mr. Holloran works at Olympic High School. And Mr. Holloran is going to tell us a little bit about the recognition in maybe about a minute because I think we have some folks going home. And thank you all for coming.
Right.
President Mason, members of the board, Superintendent Meyer, we appreciate the opportunity to honor one of our schools tonight. Olympic High School is a continuation school, and it is a school that serves students who maybe need some additional support, need some additional opportunities to earn their diplomas. They have a terrific track record in that regard. The state of California sponsors model continuation schools, and it is a rigorous application process, which includes a written application as well as a site visit. And we are incredibly proud that they've earned that distinction.
Very few schools get it during the course of a year. In addition, they were one of 3 schools highlighted by the state of California in the announcement for the awards. They're going to receive their award this Friday night in San Diego. And San Diego, nice town. So I want to bring up the principal, Lindsay Castellano, who has done an amazing job at that school, and we're all very proud of her and of the staff and of the students. So, Lindsay.
So, board president and members of the board, Dr. Meyer, my boss, Chris Holland. I really want to recognize our students that are here tonight because they're really the reason why we received this award. We have the most amazing students. They sometimes take a little bumpy road in their educational journey, but they make it and they're awesome and we learn from them every day. So Talijah Lewis is here as well as Amanda Ashworth Medrano. Those are Olympic students. I want to thank them for being here. Oh, and Pia, sorry, I was looking at uniforms. I also want to thank our amazing staff. And so Holly Pitts teaches biology, Sergeant Ages, our JROTC instructor, Ms. Schmitz, who teaches science through our Alliance program and is a case manager. Mr. Buchler, jack of all trades, teaches world history, English ELD. Mr. Giordano, service learning, English ELD. Let's see, where are my other people at? There we go. Karen Davis, one of our resource specialists. Marissa Prater teaches English and leadership. And then back here, we have Miss Curtis, who teaches history. Miss Haywan Powers, who is our registrar and she's the heart of Olympic for sure. And then last but not least, we have somebody, I don't know if you've heard of him, but his name is, what is his name? His name is Skip Weinstock. He's been at Olympic for a little while. I remember him when I went to elementary school at Centeris bringing students. Oh, sorry, okay. I do want to call him up really quickly because he has been at Olympics for 46 years. And part of our goal is to do something that he has never done at Olympic. There's very few things, and model continuation is one of them. So, Skip, I just wanted to call you because you're better at words than me, but you have to keep it short because this is a long meeting.
You remember my speech from last year. It's an amazing journey that I've taken for the 46 years that I've been here, but we're not here to honor me tonight. We're here to honor the staff, the incredible staff of Olympic High School. I can tell you that I have worked with every administrator that has ever walked through the hallways of Olympic High School, every teacher that has ever walked through the hallways of Olympic High School. And I am so proud of this current group of staff. The support staff are incredible, the teachers are incredible, the administrative team and counselors are incredible. And it's to their credit that this award was finally given to Olympic High School, and it's the work that gets done on a day-to-day basis. And I also want to thank the board and Chris and Nellie for the support that you've shown our staff and our school, because that really makes the difference. So thank you on behalf of our wonderful group of staff that are here tonight, and we'll be down in San Diego thinking about you on Friday.
If I could ask the staff to perhaps gather right over here on the side where the little ones with signs were. We're going to have one
more opportunity for
and
you're part of the team.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All right.
I want to say on behalf of Mount Diablo School Board and the school district, we give you a small token
of our appreciation for all that you all do every day, and we're so proud of you. And here you are. Thank you.
Oh, we like to read it.
Because now it only says bully when my head's
And the elegant tall lady in the back. All right, big cheesy grins. If I can see, like skips. That's beautiful.
I'll be tiring.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, another recognition. Recognition of Mount Dale Unified School District's Garden Education Program, something near and dear to my heart. Recipients of the City of Pleasant Hills Green Community Award.
Yes, I'd like to ask if Jennifer Sachs, our Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction, could come up. And we're very pleased to recognize our green, not people, green team. Jennifer.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited and appreciate the opportunity to recognize a phenomenal team. Who we have here this evening are some principals and some garden educators. They are individuals that look outside and identify garden spaces and see outdoor classrooms ready to instruct students in the areas of nutrition, NGSS in the garden, that would be a next generation science standards, health, as well as careers. Really opening up the doors to students and their imagination, and then also really foundational skills and phenomena-based education. Really exploring things that they see out there that are mysteries and things that are different. So they've got a vision for the program, and I want to recognize them this evening if I could. They were recognized, as Dr. Meyer did say, by the City of Pleasant Hill for their Green Community Award. And as she'd like to say, that we were runner-ups the year before, and that did not sit well with us. So we came back with a vengeance, didn't we? And these educators are the reason why. They are absolutely amazing, as well as the principals that support this program. This is a collaborative effort. So the districts provide some funding as well as the school site. And this all happens during the school day, which is also super unique. It's not an add-on. It's incorporated within the school-wide program, integrating things such as STEM, English language development, and like I said, nutrition, career exploration, and several other areas. So that being said, I'd like to first introduce Tamara Helfer, who's the coordinator of our program, and then Glennie Gascott and her outdoor educator, Terry Edwards-Nixon, if she's here, and then Dawn Edwards from Mount Diablo Elementary, and the outdoor educator, Sheila Hill. From Bancroft, Linda Schuler. You all can come on up here, actually. I want to do a picture like the other folks did. I don't want to be just here. Linda Schuler from Bancroft, and garden educator Alice Burns from Fair Oaks, John Pierce, principal, and Beth Bochers, educator outdoors, and then Marion Woodard from Momani, along with the principal, Jennifer Molino. And this is our garden educator staff and the principals that help support their work.
Well, how perfect. Here I am with the camera once again.
And we have certificates.
And I also want to note that the East Bay Times recognized this team, including Jennifer, who received $189,000 for a grant. And they spoke about the importance of rethinking our food and nutrition programs in our schools. And so it was a wonderful opportunity to highlight, I think the picture was of El Monte, but really all of the schools who are participating.
Okay, Dr. Meyer, would you mind, or maybe President Mason, since I know this is an area that is near and dear to your heart. Thank you.
Yeah, you're way too crowded.
Okay.
You're all so cute. So Oh, that's so much better. No, that's lovely. Okay, Linda. I think we need one more person in front. Ta-da. Okay, first. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you all for being so accommodating with the media when I needed it over spring break. Perfect. Thank you. Congrats.
Now that we have this great team to take over here, I'm spreading my wings and just started a garden at St. Peter Water Catholic School in the city of Pittsburgh. Okay, 9.3, resolution 17-18-45, recognition of Day of Silence. The National Day of Silence is a symbolic representation of the silencing effect young people across the country experience every day because of the anti-LGBT bullying.
Madam President, I move the board adopt resolution number 17-18-45, the National Day of Silence.
Second. And that passes 5-0. We have another resolution for Asian Pacific Heritage Month. The California Department of Education has designated May as Asian Pacific Heritage Month. The attached resolution recognizes the many contributions made by the people from the Asian Pacific Islands to the growth and development of California's heritage.
Madam President, I move the board approve resolution number 17-18-41 proclaiming May 2018 Asian Pacific Heritage Month.
Thank you. Second. And that passes 5-0. Resolution 17/18-46, California Day of the Teacher, May 9th, 2018. The Mount Diablo Unified School District Board of Education wishes to adopt a resolution acknowledging the lifelong influence that teachers can have on the lives of our children and to express appreciation for the creativity, dedication, and talent of teachers in the Mount Diablo Unified School District.
Madam President, as a teacher myself, I approve we adopt resolution number 17-18-46 in acknowledgement of California Day of the Teacher, May 9th, 2018, and the lifelong influence that teachers have on the lives of students.
Thank you. Second. That passes 5-0. Next is resolution number 17/18-47, Classified Employees Week for May 20th through the 26th, 2018, to recognize and honor the contribution of the classified school employees to quality education in the state of California and in the Mount Diablo Unified School District.
Madam President, I move the board adopt resolution 17-18-47, classified employee leave.
Thank you.
Second.
Somebody's got it. My mom has moved and I'm cleaning out her house and I found a whole stash of classified employee pens that she's had from over the years when they had the celebrations. She worked for the district for like 24 years. Yeah. Oh yeah, they used to do cups and t-shirts and pens. Yeah, that passes 5-0. Very good. Alrighty. So we go to student rep. And we'll start with Kim. You're on the list. You get to start us off.
Good evening, President Mason, board members, Superintendent Dr. Meyer, members of the Superintendent Council, and members of the audience. My name is Kimberly Gonzalez. I am a student representative from Crossroads High School. We are preparing for our child care staff luncheon in May. On May 10th, we will be celebrating Mother's Day. We will celebrate the end of the year by going to Pixieland with our babies on May 30th. Tomorrow we are all walking to the farmers market. Cops for Kids will come here in May, play soccer and volleyball. DVC is coming to talk to our students in May. We will be preparing for the state testing over the next couple weeks. Now that it's warm outside, we can sit in our courtyard under the umbrellas and eat lunch. Please stop by Crossroads during lunch to meet our babies. Lunch is 12:25 to 1.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, who's up next?
Good evening, President Mason, board members, Superintendent Dr. Meyer, and members of Superintendent Council and members of the audience. My name is Annalise Corona and I'm a student representative from Gateway High School. Staff and students are working on creating a digital yearbook, and we also had a couple students graduate early this month. Mrs. Nosky is also taking Miss Gardner's place while she's out taking care of her baby.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Mason, board members, Superintendent Dr. Meyer, members of Superintendent's Council, and members of the audience. My name is Amanda Severe, and I am the A2 president from Northgate High School. On this last Saturday, we had our annual garage sale. It is a huge success as an end to our campus's Eco Week. We had people donating stuff for weeks every Saturday, and then we had dumps that people could pay to drop into, and then we had people can buy spots to sell their own garage sale stuff, so it was kind of fun. And then in the spirit of the ending of the school year, seniors will wear their shirts of where they'll be going next year if they choose to on May 1st for Commitment Day. It's a really fun tradition we all have, and it's really fun to see where everyone's going. Then on May 5th, we are hosting our second annual Color Run, following a Disney-themed Color Spirit Week. This is an awesome event where we want to get the community involved with the students, and a bunch of staff comes and they run it, and it's really awesome. And there's color, music, food. What more can we? What not to love? On April 27th, this Friday, we have our first ever Wellness Day. We have about an hour where we usually have our study session period to choose any workshop or class or fun things put on by the teachers. There's yoga, there's nature walks, calm coloring. It's really cool, and I think it'll be a fun time because our support counselors are working very hard to decrease the stress that exists on our campus daily. Our spring blood drive is May 10th, and our school loves to donate to the community. We always have way too many people signing up. From May 14th to May 18th is our yearly Move It On Up week, where we acknowledge the year coming to an end, and we end that week with another our last rally, where every grade switches to the next year's bleachers, and it's kind of like a step to the next year, and it's awesome. During that same week, on May 16th to the 19th, the dance reduction class, the highest dance class at Northgate, is having their end of the year show, something they prepare for all year round, starting at the beginning, and it's really awesome. And To end, one of our very own amazing teachers, Mrs. Starr, was nominated for the NBC All-Star Teachers. She's one of the 5 finalists with the potential to win $20,000 for our science department. Anyone can vote once a day, every day until June 1st on NBCSports.com/Bay Area/AST. So, if you could vote, that'd be wonderful. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, President Mason, board members, Superintendent Dr. Maya, members of the Superintendent's Council, and the members of the audience. My name is Asim Yaya, and I am the ASB President at Concord High School.
And my name is Hannah Donovan, and I'm ASB Secretary Treasurer.
All right, we're going to start off with something different. I'm going to start off with leadership today. So what's been going on with leadership? What have we been up to? So first things first, we had prom this last Saturday at the Bentley Reserve in San Francisco. It was a great Gatsby-themed dance, and as usual, it was an amazing night filled with a lot of dancing. We even had blackjack tables and a jazz band. Next, we have our Powder Puff game this Friday. So it's our second annual Powder Puff game. It's on our new field, which is really exciting, one of the first events there. It's going to be at 7 p.m. For clarification, Powder Puff is when a group of junior girls and a group of senior girls compete in an intense flag football game. Meanwhile, many of our male students will be participating in a halftime show of cheerleading. So it should be exciting. Whichever team wins will play against Clayton Valley's winning team to see who's best. We're going to win. All right. Spring Talent Show. Also, our Spring Talent Show will be on May 4th. And as usual, we have an amazing variety of featured talents lined up. The doors open at 6:30, so if you're interested in coming, again, May 4th, 6:30. It's at our Performing Cultural Arts Center, which again is just our MBA. I have to clarify that every time. We also have our Fine Arts Week next week, where we're dedicated to recognizing and presenting a different VAPA group every day. So these include, but are not limited to, jazz. We're going to have a teacher mariachi band, show choir, drama, marching band, photo, ceramics, and other arts, such as that. Last week, we had our multi-rally, where we had the opportunity to celebrate cultures from all around the world through dance and expression. This rally is the biggest of the year, and it's really cherished for its inclusive nature. Students feel empowered by celebration of their culture and the opportunity to embrace their heritage. So it's always just an exciting experience for us to kind of build a sense of community. Next up, on May 10th, everything's coming so fast. We have open house from 5:30 to 7 p.m. where we'll be celebrating all the wonderful work we've been able to do all year long. Also on May 10th during the day, we're going to have our first ever College Commitment Days, where senior students will be publicly celebrated through various activities in our quads. So we're going to let them take photos while they wear their college gear with other students who are going to the same school. They're going to have posters to hold. We're also going to have 2 posters, one that says, I plan on attending blank, so they can go ahead and kind of sign where they're going to be going. And then also the other one is, I will be attending college because of, so they can put their reason. And it's going to be kind of cool because that's the same day as open house, so parents will be able to check that out later that night. Clash of the Classes. So this week is the Clash of the Classes Spirit Week, as well as some of the events. So today was Mathlete versus Athlete, so you can dress up as either one. Tomorrow is Greaser versus Prep. That should be fun. Wednesday is Meme versus Vine. Thursday is Disney versus Nickelodeon, and Friday is our class colors. So our freshmen were white, sophomores are black, juniors are gold, seniors are green. So along with the Spirit Week, we're also going to have some lunchtime competitions between the grade levels. And finally, we had our elections. So for next year, we've decided to restructure our class to have an executive board, which consists of not only 3 individuals, but rather 5, one of which must be a sophomore. So we're hoping by expanding our leadership, within leadership, we strengthen our network of communication and can represent all students the best way possible. And now that we have our new board, I'm excited to announce that Hannah Gentleman right here is going to be the ASB president next year. After 2 years, I'm finally okay with someone else having it. So she is going to be the first ever ASB president with a whole board, and I'm sure she's very excited, and I don't think there's anybody better for it. She's got stuff to say too. I'm like, oh,
Okay, so first I'm going to start off with talking about a few of our visual and performing arts classes at our school. So first off is band, and they've been working on getting ready for their festival next week, and it's in San Jose. Choir is looking forward to their awards banquet and preparing for their spring concert on May 3rd. And just yesterday they returned from Seattle, their big Seattle trip that they have. They go to a different place every year, but this one was in Seattle. Ladies First brought back gold, their first ever gold, and show choir brought back a silver in their competitions, and they had a great time and made lots of memories in Seattle. Last but not least, drama is currently working on their musical for it's called Grease, and it will be opening sometime in May. Now for sports. Okay, so swim team has moved their practices from Forest Park to Geringer last week because Cowpool, which is what they normally practice at, is being redone. The deck's going to get new cement. Baseball has been improving a lot, and in their last 5 games, they've gone 4-1, and they're so excited to be playing and practicing on the new field, and they were fortunate enough to already have 2 games. They have also a new pitcher who's just a sophomore and has been doing really well and helping the team out a lot. Softball has also had the first 2 home games on their brand new field, and they said it was definitely worth the wait. And last Tuesday they played Northgate and won 9-1, and last Thursday they played CV and won 13-0.
We're good at that sport.
Track is really excited to also have their new field and track. We've had 2 home meets so far, and the first one was the first meet we've had there in 15 years due to the nature of the track and how it was going to be set up and the timing systems and all that, just the logistical things. But we were really excited, and I'm pretty sure we won that meet. Cheer had their last match within their league last Wednesday at Alhambra, and they won 17-4, and they made NCS and are currently ranked 2nd overall. And if you want to go see it, the first NCS match is at California High School in I can't say this word, Dodderton Valley, and it's at 7 p.m. Before I close, I want to recognize Austin Yaya. So many of you don't know all of his accomplishments because of how humble he is about them. But one of his most recent ones is that he recently accepted the Coca-Cola Scholarship Program, which is a national scholarship of $20,000, and he was one of the 150 kids selected out of a nation of 150 kids selected out of a nation of 150,000 applicants for his outstanding academics and leadership and service. So we really want to recognize him, and we're really proud of him and happy that he comes to our school and makes us proud. So thank you, and go with him.
Good evening, President Mason, board members, Superintendent Dr. Meyer, members, superintendents, council, and members of the audience. My name is Megan Chachuang, and I'm the student representative from Mount Diablo High School. On the Thursday before spring break, March 29th, our school held our first ever spring rally. The theme was Class Olympics, with the senior class of 2018 winning the Spirit Stick. The rally was a great success, especially due to the fact that it was the leadership's class' first time trying it. 2 days later, on the 31st, the CARES program held a Bay Point barbecue to build stronger relationships between the school and the community. Many MDHS students and clubs were encouraged to volunteer and perform at the event. On Friday, April 9th, we had a college day to motivate students to apply to 4-year universities. Students were encouraged to rep their dream schools by wearing college gear. On Monday, 16th, motivational speaker Keith Hawkins came to school to talk to freshmen and juniors to talk about the importance of education. This Saturday, the 28th, we will be having a prom at the Nico Hotel in San Francisco. And currently, we're heavily prepping for our annual multicultural rally on May 11th that celebrates all the diverse communities on the MDHS campus. Finally, on May 18th, we'll be holding our student body elections for the upcoming school year of 2018-2019. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Mason, board members, Superintendent Dr. Myers, members of the Superintendent Council, and members of the audience. My name is Siplani Pinzon, and I am the representative of College Now program. College Now has only 4 weeks and for the school to end. Some of us are sad because we're going to miss our fun. Some of us are happy because summer is coming. Some of us are nervous, mostly seniors, because we are starting a new life and going to college. But also it comes our very first, because it's first time we're going to have a graduating class.
I'm excited to be one of them. Also, I'm proud to say that all seniors who applied for a four-year university were accepted to at least one of them. Some of them are UC Berkeley, UC Santa Barbara, UC San Diego, CSU Sonoma, and San Jose, and UC Davis. Also, we had an amazing speaker. We're trying to open our students to very, like jobs that maybe people don't think. So our speaker is Kara. She's number one. She's a female, number one in video games, I believe. Also, our seniors are preparing for their first ever senior project, and we're excited about that. Also, as our very first, our seniors are starting a tradition where we hand out something to the juniors so they can take our place as new seniors. We're also hosting our very, very first senior ceremony. The College Now Club that we made is going to help sponsor the senior ceremony, and we would like to invite you guys, which is May 29th at 6. And we would like for you guys to see us, to see the very first class of this program and see how we are very successful, and hope this program keeps going for future generations. I also would like to show you our very first also sash rolls. They're very cute and they're very handmade. Thank you, and hope to see you our seniors. Thank you.
Can I just ask, is that at DVC?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Our student report as well. Very good. Thank you guys so much. Mr. Lawrence?
I'll hold some of my comments until item 14.1. Outside of that, so I think it's always great to hear from our community, and we certainly heard from a lot of folks this evening. As a board member and as a parent, I would certainly be concerned, and I am concerned when we look at we've made so much progress on class size reduction, and when it seems like we're not taking steps in that continued area, that's a reason for concern. I think one thing is that right now it's April, and we still have some time before school will start back up, and some things will be moving. But I think the concerns of the parents who I've been speaking with over the last couple of months, and last couple of weeks from various elementary schools are very well heard, and I'm looking forward to us speaking more about that. Thank you.
I just have two items because I was hoping to bank some of my time. I wanted to remind everybody that the CAC You Make a Difference Awards is May 25th at 6:30 at Mountain View Elementary School, and that the Mount Diablo Education Association Academy Awards are on May 10th, and please go online and purchase your tickets. It's going to be a great event.
Did you want to read your resolution now or during the safety, student safety? Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry our students aren't here now. That's the way things work out sometimes. I was very moved by our students' emotion and anguish and fear as they spoke before the board around school safety and the various shootings that have occurred across our nation. And I felt that we shortchanged ourselves and our students by not reading the resolution that the board adopted at our last meeting. I know it is lengthy, but I think it is one of the most profound resolutions that this Board of Education has adopted. And for me, it's a very emotional and it's very important. So with your indulgence, I would like to read this for the record. Resolution 17/18-40, Student Safety and Gun Violence Prevention. Whereas our public schools are charged not only with supporting student achievement, but also providing a foundation for mental and physical health, personal growth, and civic engagement. And whereas student safety is a prerequisite for consistently high levels of achievement and social development. And whereas violence and harassment can not only alienate students from their peers and their environment, thereby impeding learning, but also cause injuries and fatalities. And whereas the Mount Diablo Unified School District supports the right of students and staff to attend schools that are safe and free from violence and harassment, especially life-threatening forms of violence. And whereas in its May 2017 study, Indicators of Schools Crime and Safety 2016, the National Center for Education Statistics found that 21% of students aged 12 to 18 said they were bullied at school. And whereas in the same study, 16% of students reported carrying a weapon at any point during the previous 30 days, and 4% reported carrying a weapon on campus during the 30 previous days. And whereas the study also noted that 4% of students had access to a loaded gun without adult permission, either at school or away from school during the school year. And whereas senseless and tragic mass shootings at places such as schools, colleges, and universities, movie theaters, music festivals, hospitals and medical clinics, shopping malls, and religious institutions have highlighted the dangers of and clearly demonstrates that gun violence or gun-related violence can occur at any place and at any time. And whereas more than 150,000 Americans have experienced a shooting on campus since Columbine tragedy, and hundreds of lives have been lost as a result. And whereas the recent massacre at Parkland, Florida's Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School took 17 lives and shocked the conscience of the nation. And whereas gun violence on school campuses, while relatively rare, represents a particularly egregious and unacceptable threat to the lives of students, teachers, and staff across the country. And whereas gun violence in schools occurs in America with a frequency and a severity that is unparalleled anywhere in the world, and whereas exposure to trauma can adversely affect a child's health for the rest of their life, and whereas safe schools provide an environment where teaching and learning can flourish, disruptions are minimized, violence, bullying, and fear are absent, students are not discriminated against, expectations for behavior are clearly communicated, and standards of behavior are maintained, and consequences for infractions are consistently and fairly applied. And whereas teachers at a school site are there to teach using their considerable skill and expertise, and not to become trained in weapons and shooting. And whereas the district believes that school safety and freedom from gun violence is a nonpartisan value and imperative, and are the responsibilities of all school community members and all stakeholders. And whereas the governing board of the district has completed and continues to hold regular drills as prescribed in both school site and district emergency plans, and that said plans involve all school district personnel, law enforcement, fire and medical rescue personnel, emergency management personnel, and others essential to preventing and mitigating or resolving any potential crisis. And whereas the district reviews school site discipline rules and procedures in order to ensure they are appropriately enforced, and that student handbooks explaining codes of conduct, unacceptable behavior, and disciplinary consequences are given to all students, parents, and caregivers. And whereas the most effective approach to creating safe schools environments is a comprehensive, coordinated effort, including school-wide, district-wide, and community-wide strategies, supplemented with legislation, resources, and support at the state and federal level. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Board of Education of the district hereby demands action from our state and federal representatives to reinstate the assault weapon ban and adopt stricter gun controls governing the sale, transfer, possession, manufacturing, and distribution of all firearms, dangerous weapons, and ammunition. And be it further resolved that those stricter controls include not only comprehensive and thorough background checks of all purchases of firearms, including curios and relics, dangerous weapons, and ammunition, and include the purchase of those items facilitated through the internet and at gun shows, but also an outright ban on semi-automatic firearms, high-capacity magazines, armor-piercing ammunition, bump stocks, and any other equipment, alteration, or modification that would increase a firearm's capacity for ammunition or rate of fire, as well as reasonable waiting periods and mandated training in the safe use of guns. And be it further resolved that the district will continue to improve processes and communications that facilitate identifying students at risk of harming themselves or others to connect them with appropriate supports and resources. Be it further resolved that the district will continue to work with a broad spectrum of local community stakeholders, local law enforcement, mental health professionals, parents, students, teachers, and staff to take any threats of violence seriously and to develop, implement, and monitor policies and programs that foster and support a positive school climate free from harassment and violence. And be it further resolved that the district urges the state of California and the United States Congress to invest in wraparound services to prevent bullying, harassment, discrimination, and violence in our schools, and to provide funding for programs and staff such as counselors, nurses, psychologists that support students' mental, physical, and emotional health. And be it further resolved that the districts ask the United States Congress to repeal the prohibition and data collection and research on gun violence by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control. Be it further resolved that the district urges the state of California and the Congress to implement common sense measures that prioritize student safety and environments where all students have the opportunity to learn and grow and thrive. Be it further resolved that the district will transmit copies of this resolution to federal and state elected officials to demand those officials take immediate action to enact meaningful gun control legislation to prevent even one more child from being harmed by gunfire. And this resolution was adopted by the governing board on the 9th of April 2018, with all board members voting in support. I want to thank you for this resolution. As I said, I believe it is profound, and every visit I make to a legislator's office, I intend to carry this with them and present that to them. On behalf of our students who have cried with us, shared their anger and their anxiety, and for those students who have marched and stood behind me and cried during the ceremony, I think this is a very important step. So thank you.
Ms. Hanson. Okay, I'm going to go on a little lighter note, and I'm very proud that we took that stand together and sent that message. I'm going to go back to district business, which seemed to be a series of we have very active community organizations going on. Went to our CAC meeting, which is our special education parents, our advocacy committee, where they gave Chris Wilburn a lifetime recognition for surviving forever in the special education department, and well deserved. So now I think she must return to all the meetings. That was for the rest of her life. That was the agreement. We also had Measure C Bond Oversight Committee meeting, which was very friendly. Good job, Mr. Ferranti. He's the chairperson of that committee, and everybody seemed to be pretty collaborative and pretty agreeable about where we're at right now. And I know we're going to hear maybe a little bit more. There's a couple questions on some of the agenda items. But we're coming to the end of our Measure C, trying to sort through the projects and determine just what might be high priority. And so the staff has done a great job of trying to identify those things so that our remaining funds get well spent. Went to the DLAC meeting the other night, and that's our English learner parent group, now run completely by fathers, which is spectacular. Over the years, I've watched DLAC morph into, I think I say it every time I mention DLAC, but there's a dedicated group of fathers who really are stepping forward to say, your kids are watching you, and it's important that dads and moms be involved in their children's lives. They're very family-oriented in that group, and they're just a lovely bunch of people. I truly enjoy going to those meetings. Wanted to mention also that I went to, we have the speaker series that the district has been doing, Dr. Meyer and her staff has organized, and we had a great presentation. Unfortunately, there weren't a lot of parents, there were a lot of staff there, which is good, so she felt like she was speaking to the choir. But it's from First Five, and if you've never been involved with them, I happen to have the privilege of working with Ruth Fernandez, who's the deputy director. She is so knowledgeable about what it takes for kids to get ready for kindergarten. And in today's society, it is absolutely critical. I am so behind preschool for students getting ready for kindergarten. And Ruth has been on this mission for years and is so knowledgeable and has developed a toolkit that's so practical. And actually, I told her, I'm stunned because I was with her when she first developed it about 12 or 15 years ago, and it's still in use, and that's highly unusual. But it's because it's very practical, common sense parent information for getting kids ready a step at a time for kindergarten, so that they come into kindergarten already with a background of socialization and emotional strength. And interestingly enough, she downplayed the academic part and pressed on about the socialization and the emotional health of students in being ready to step into kindergarten, rather than do they all know how to read and count, and that's going to come to them, but it's the ability to interact with others that becomes so critical. And also just congratulations to Olympic. I was a teacher at Olympic High School. Unfortunately, I was one of the many who taught with Skip Weinstock. So I don't know what that says, but he's right. This is an amazing bunch of teachers together at Olympic right now. And it has transitioned into just an incredible school. And I applaud you all for the work you've done to make Olympic a national kind of recognition. It's really an incredible achievement. So congratulations to all of you. And that's it.
Turkey.
Thank you. So on April 12th, I visited the Magnet School Showcase. It was the first time I had the opportunity to do that. It was at El Dorado Middle School. So it was a great opportunity to learn about the three schools at Holbrook: Language Academy, Wren Avenue School of the Arts, and Sun Terrace STEM. So it was really fun. They each had a section of the multi-use room and tables, sort of demonstrating the kinds of learning opportunities students have. And we learned a lot about Dr. Meyer's talent in art. I didn't know she had that on top of everything else, very artistic. And then, of course, they could learn a little bit about El Dorado Middle School. So the idea is that parents can come and start to find out more about the magnet schools and, of course, their feeder middle school. Ms. Hanson already talked about the Bond Oversight Committee. I attended that, which I agree it was very informative, and it feels like some good momentum. We did hear about, which we've heard here, but also the positive audit report, and we heard about the facilities master planning efforts that are underway, which I think was recommended some time ago from within that committee, so that was great to hear. Ms. Hanson actually and I attended the Prospects Verizon Center for Independent Study. They started their WASC visit. It always starts on a Sunday, where they host the visiting team and the staff is there. So it's a small group of people, and Dr. Brockman did a lovely job of hosting the team. And it was kind of nice. It was very informal, and we just had time to chat individually with the visiting team, and they seem like they're great people. So I'm anxious to hear how they did. I'm sure they were going to do well. First WASC. Yeah, that's right. Their first time through the process. I also went to the speaker series, and I just, also very familiar with Ruth Fernandez, and she did an excellent job. And also, she mentioned there were teachers there. A lot of the teachers, because she kept talking about the district's preschools, and so a lot of those preschools are adult education preschools through the family literacy centers, who has been working with First Five for, I don't know, I think, probably knows, 15 years. I mean, I think it was 10 or 15 while I was there, and it's continued on, so she's back there. So we have some of those teachers there as well, and that was great to see. And then the 20th was PTA, another first for me, PTA Advocacy Day. which was actually hosted by Las Trampas Creek, Pleasanton, San Ramon Valley PTA Councils in San Ramon. It was a really packed agenda. These are mostly PTA members attending, but there were, I think, other school board members there. There I learned about something called Ed 100, which is a tutorial on education funding, which is, I think, all the times I could have used that to help people understand how education is funding. And then, let's see, there were 2 panels, a group that, well, I'll just tell you who they were. So the CAPTA legislative advocate, Debbie Look, who I met before. She used to be with Joan Buchanan. She's a senior consultant, California State Assembly Committee on Education, senior policy analyst with the California Budget and Policy Center. So pretty impressive people. And they had questions posed to them, again, most all about education funding and what we can expect going forward, et cetera. And the audience was able to ask questions. And then we went through an interactive process for the audience participation on the state budget. So you could choose how much money you wanted to spend in these different categories. So that was really enlightening and interesting. Of course, the PTA leaders talked about legislation that they've supported. And then we had Assembly Member Catherine Baker and Assembly Member Tim Grayson there to share their perspective on education funding. There's a lot of conversation around parent engagement in LCAP and how to do that with integrity and how to people know it's being done with integrity. So that was an important topic. And of course, there was actually just a great handout called "Where Does PTA Stand on Gun Violence?" So I'm happy to share that with folks. So that was really important. So it was definitely worth the time there. So thank you.
And I too went to the speaker series and the DLAC meeting, and Ms. Durkee and I were both at the equity meeting, which always has very heartfelt and thought-provoking conversation. One of my favorite meetings to go to. I went to the Platicus meeting, I believe is what it's called, and it's did Ms. Mayo at Meadow Homes. I was invited there by the DLAC parents. And then Ms. Mayo and I were also at Sun Terrace on Saturday. She was working harder than I was putting tables together. I was kind of just walking around watching the kids and enjoying the kids for their Comcast day that they had. So there were a lot of people there. Hopefully that was a big success. And Dr. Meyer was there as well, and we were glad to be out there to support them. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Meyer.
All right, thank you. As you can hear, it's a very busy time of year, and just wanted to note that sometimes when it's kind of quiet, even though tonight was not an example, that there's still so much going on underneath the surface. So to start out, wanted to share, this is Sun Terrace last Saturday. This is one of our employees. She is a psychologist at Sun Terrace and her daughter. And they were getting ready to start the Comcast day. And just a great shot of them. They were very excited. And also, I'm just going to keep putting this up here, but it relates to many of the things that you all have said about how we have a moral imperative to make sure we challenge our students, that we prepare them for their future, and that we look to see what the challenge will be for them so they can be positive members of our community and give back and support themselves and the community. Going as well, the Magnet Fair. This was, I think it was the day after the last board meeting, no, 2 days after the last board meeting. And you can see our 3 magnets in Concord in the upper left. We have our arts magnet, and they have projects where you could participate, which was fun. It's been a while. It's actually very stress relieving to do art. I have a little bit right here I've been doing. And then on the right, we have our STEM group, and they're almost, you know, you can really look by how they represent themselves. And they have this wonderful circuit activity where you use wiring and circuiting to turn something on, and it was they did a great job teaching those of us who stopped by how to do that. And then at the bottom here, we have our dual immersion. You heard about that tonight as well, dual immersion program. And they had both costume, passports, and all sorts of wonderful things to show what their schools are about. So a great afternoon at El Dorado Middle. And then they're gone, but I was hoping to show this while they might still stay, but you can't see enough of the green team. And so here, those awards, and since they didn't get it last year, I thought we'd show them twice. And a wonderful recognition from Pleasant Hill. Also, another person who left, but is still in our minds. Wanted to note that Concord Pioneer recognized Concord High School teen, Awesome Yaya, and he is going to be running for assembly. He will be running against Assemblyman Grayson, who was at the event you were at, but he was at our event tonight. I want to also show the area that he would represent if elected, and then there's a link to the article about him. But off to a great start, and it's a great time to embrace new ideas.
As he would say, leadership is favorite thing.
Leadership, start with leadership, end with leadership.
Well, I think he's been accepted in at least 5 colleges. I was seeing all very upper echelon colleges. I think he's willing to delay college if he wins.
Wow.
So
take a gap
got a real commitment. Think about that when you vote.
Yes, I will. I don't want to stop him from college, however. That is our district focus. But okay, I might make an exception. And you can't hold anyone back. So, looking forward to, we have another senior who is honored by the California Council for Social Studies. She won the Student Award, and she was recognized as a social justice champion, Lucy Sael. And yes, both. You can see here. And it's relatively new that students are receiving this awards from this organization. So it's a wonderful honor for both Northgate High School as well as Lucy. And she has support of the Dreamers on her cheek, if you can't see. And also some recognition that we've seen in our local papers about our Concord artists preparing for the May Showcase. There was an article written by the president of Concord Art, Lisa Fulmer, and she was showing them how to prepare with different kinds of print and stamping and that kind of thing. And you can see that is engagement right there. That's really what it looks like, and we try and keep them all the way. Also, as mentioned, the article in the East Bay Times of the grant that we received that will discuss the nutrition from seed to table, and also it was recognized by the Diablo Gazette, and others have picked up on this particular article. And true, we heard in a comment that there are really hardly any education reporters, so this was kind of the community reporter, and so we're doing all we can to engage and get the good stories out there. So that is El Monte right there in their garden right in front of their school. And I'm also going to continue to talk about the robotics team from YV. They are going to, they say 19 times if you communicate it, it will stick. So this is 3, this is only 3. And so the first Robotics Rookie All-Star Award, they celebrated. And this is a different picture, it looks like the other one. I think the similar color scheme and excitement. But they in Houston are going to this event that is the first championship, and it's not the first. That's an acronym, and it will have 30,000 young people from 60 countries. And so we have robotics growing, and I'm very excited to see their progress. Also wanted to share, we have, well, I guess, Ms. Hanson, how many, we have 20 districts in the county? 18, okay. I knew she would know. I don't know how I knew that, just a guess. So we have 18 districts in our county, and out of those 18, they each nominate one person for their Teacher of the Year, and 3 of us are fortunate, given our size, to nominate 2. So those include San Ramon, West Contra Costa, and Mount Diablo. And so we get to nominate 2 to be the 4 finalists in the county. And it just so happened in Mount Diablo, both of our 2 finalists were selected to be 2 of the 4. So the math is exciting, and you know, we're already winners, as we know, given our wonderful teachers. But this is now the second time for Kelly. You'll see more of her. Kelly Perkins, Ignacio Valley, is one of the county finalists. And then Rosie Reed, Northgate High School, is also a county finalist. And I don't know if I said this before, but when I called both of them, county got to tell them about the finalist part. But anyway, when I called them to tell them they were district finalists, they both said almost the same thing. They said, I'm so excited, the population I teach will be spotlighted. And one teacher teaches English learners and one teacher teaches students with disabilities. And they didn't say, yes, of course, no one does when they win, by the way. But they immediately said that same comment. So it was kind of interesting, and it shows that they feel that they need to be in the spotlight. And so it was a wonderful commentary on our 2 finalists. So no surprise, they're 2 of the 4. They put others first. Comcast Cares. So Saturday morning came early. It was my daughter's 18th birthday, and I've been busy scrubbing the floors. Actually, scrubbing the floors. And so went to Comcast Cares at Sun Terrace and wanted to show you just a few of the wonderful pictures that were taken. Jason Steinberg was a parent volunteer, and he took these photos. So you can see in our upper left, we have Ms. Mayo, who is there working hard, and then you have student workers in the mulch up here. The whole place was covered in green shirts, and they were really wonderful. And then this adorable one right here, she likes her photo taken, and I like seeing her photo. And so very excited. They were hands-on. They were doing all sorts of things, but there's more. They signed in, and we have our president was signing in there. And they were kind of waiting there and greeted us when we came, Comcast sign-in. And then, we had the one at the beginning, and we may have one later. I won't give it away. So a wonderful day, and they got a lot done. Fences put in, benches, as mentioned, painted, and a lot of really hard work in the garden and pulling weeds and that kind of thing. So great volunteers. The LCAP speaker series that was mentioned, the year prior, it seems like we kind of had a tilting towards the high school speakers. So we talked about college readiness a lot. We talked about those kind of things. So this year we're very excited to speak to the parents of the younger kids and look for readiness ideas. So having seen the work that they do and the diagnostic tests that they put together, very exciting. And for SPI, they're wonderful partners. So there they are speaking. And we have our last speaker series, number 5, which will be given by Nancy Juner and Jennifer Sachs, and it will be LCAP and the budget and some more information about how that relates to school or district operations. So that'll be interesting to see how this new experiment has really been successful. And then, as mentioned, the District English Learner Committee. I think I always sit behind Mr. Fillmore because that picture is a picture from the last meeting, but it looks very much like the meeting before. And, I guess we kind of go to our same seats, how people do. And it was a wonderful presentation, great leadership in that room. And we had a good presentation on family life and a lot of good questions around that. And it was also at the CAC, so a lot of information getting out there to our community. And then Bancroft turns 50, and it's showing its age a teeny bit, but it's not the new 30 when it comes to buildings, only people. And so I wanted to share Linda Schuler in the bottom right here. She welcomed the very first principal and they named a circle after him. And he spoke and he coined the idea of building self-esteem for students in his first years there. And he said it really all started at Bancroft. And so it was wonderful. We had a few other former principals and a lot of staff. And Linda, being very generous, invited us to come up and sing happy birthday. And so you can see she was the only one with a microphone. But but it was a wonderful event, and it was really packed, really crowded, and a great thing to celebrate. And then here are the ones I wanted to see. These are our two, one painter and another. She's thinking about painting, but she has the perfect painting outfit. And you can see that they're very excited, and the students came back today and were thrilled to see all of the work that had been done. So that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so speaking of reports, that takes us to our next report, which is a report on family life curriculum. And I will just say I was anxious to hear this report because I had questions on, I know since I've been on the board, anytime there's been a new curriculum, there's been a committee of educators that come and say they've studied it and this is the curriculum that they're choosing to go forward, and then the board usually sees it at one meeting for information and then it comes back to be voted on, and that didn't happen with this one, and so I wanted to know more about it, so hopefully we're going to learn that now.
Madam President, did you receive cards on this item?
I actually have one, but you can only speak once on the topic, and she already spoke during public comment. So, Dan, did you want to speak now or
I
after?
put in a card, yes.
Do you want to speak now?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You could also speak after. I know, thank you. Thank you, President Mason. I put in a card. I don't know what happened to it.
No, that's what I was asking. The
Yeah.
other person had already spoken.
Gotcha.
As you pointed out earlier, and you only get one bite at the apple.
Thank you. My son Ian is going to be a 5th grader next year. My wife and I are happy that he will engage with the new family life curriculum. We appreciate that the curriculum presents fact-based, unbiased, medically accurate, age-appropriate knowledge and skills in order to promote the best possible health outcomes for all students. We are thankful that the family life curriculum includes information about personal space and boundaries, consent, students' rights regarding their bodies, their sexuality, and their gender identity, puberty and reproduction, learning about love, about STDs, including HIV, and learning about gender roles and gender expectations. As parents, we continue to engage on these topics with our children, and we continue to appreciate that they will learn about these in school. I know that current Ed Code requires that all high school sexual and health education programs include information about affirmative consent, the doctrine of yes means yes. I would encourage the district to include, if it has not yet done here, instruction on affirmative consent that is age appropriate. Affirmative consent is the affirmative, conscious, and voluntary agreement by all parties involved to engage in sexual activity. Affirmative consent must be ongoing throughout a sexual activity and can be revoked at any time. It reminds us that having a dating relationship is not consent. The fact of past sexual relations is not consent. A person's submission resulting from the use of force or threat is not consent. Going on a date or talking about sex is not consent. The way a person is dressed is not consent, and that being asleep or unconscious is not consent. I am thankful that our district will have a broad-based family life curriculum for our 5th grade students, as well as for our students at the middle and high school levels. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yes. We're going to kind of do a joint presentation, and then we'll get down to the person who's been working most closely, and then we'll come back to kind of talk about what our next steps will be. So thank you for this opportunity to share information about the family life curriculum. and it's been a topic of conversation since I was a child, always of great interest and mystery sometimes and questions. So we want to answer all of the questions that we can. So to start out, I think we had a great introduction by our speaker that the parents and guardians are always their children's primary family life educators. And that being said, schools are responsible for fact-based, unbiased, medically accurate, age-appropriate information and the knowledge and skills in order to promote the best possible health outcomes for all students. And health is something that runs through the standards of our curriculum. Just to kind of share, we'll kind of talk about why the changes were made. Fifth grade family life. In the past, we had a curriculum that was, what would you say, Jen?
It was a video, a VHS video, boy to man and girl to woman generally, and then there was a very minimal little binder with some handouts in it.
What year was that video?
Well, it started first as a reel of film because I do remember ordering that when I was in the classroom. Now we have a VHS, which is a little challenging. This is 2000 because we don't have VHS players, so we have ordered DVDs. But this is kind of currently what our classroom teachers have been ordering and utilizing as the curriculum for the classroom.
At least it wasn't Betamax.
Well, yes, I guess that is a silver lining. Thank you, Board Member Lawrence.
So in response to some of the changes that we've seen in 08, we saw that the content did not comply with the health standards. And maybe we could just look at, there was some inaccurate information, increased access to information. This would have increased access. There were some outdated, as mentioned, materials, and there have been updates to our language around protected classes in our Board Policy 6143 that now includes different groups such as transgender and questioning different kinds of orientations. So that was something that had not been in the previous material.
So questions that have been coming up about the why, Dr. Meyer just went through that. And then there's been questions with regards to, are there family life or California health standards for fifth grade? And actually, if you go on the California Department of Education website, there is a California health framework for kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade. So as information and curriculum, or I should say standards are being reviewed, we did go to the fifth grade standards to take a look at them because as teachers and principals were ordering the curriculum again and there were changes in law, we wanted to go to the absolute, what we knew, which was this health framework at the state level. What we realized is this video and that tiny little packet of the handouts were not inclusive of the content that was included in the 2008 fifth grade health framework. The puberty, the male-female anatomy, sexual development, human reproduction, yes, to a degree, but there are these other areas that were included that were not generally hit upon during those lessons that were being taught, such as health and hygiene, healthy grooming, possibly that, but the sexual harassment, bullying, abuse, friendship, attraction, affection, personal boundaries, defining sexually transmitted diseases, and how HIV is and is not transmitted are included in the fifth grade health standards. That was not information that was really known to fifth grade teachers or actually staff that were given the charge of taking a look at some of the health instruction that was going on. And so we were asking ourselves, why? Why would they add these pieces of content that would kind of clutch the pearls for many parents on how are we talking about this with young ones? When we take a look at the required content for 7th grade, we take a look at it for the high school. If you take a look at the continuum, it's actually building blocks of information. So one example is, well, if you're defining HIV and AIDS in a 5th grade classroom, if you take a look at the 7th grade, it talks about one of the standards being in explaining the difference, the effectiveness of abstinence in preventing HIV, other STDs, and unintended pregnancy, which really brings it up to a different level from this is what it is to all of these other complex issues that surround something that is a sexually transmitted disease. So these are, again, it's part of more of a continuum of vertical articulation of health concepts as you build up through the grades. And so that was something that caught our eye as we were looking at the curriculum and comparing it to what we currently had, which was generally about maybe 2 lessons in a 5th grade classroom. Generally, usually in between, there was a box that, or a jar that teachers collected those questions. So watching the video, talking about the content, and then generally teachers gave themselves a little bit of time in between the content and then having a more of an in-depth conversation in that box or that bowl where students could throw some questions into. So teachers had an opportunity to take a look at them ahead of time to decide which ones are we going to answer, which ones make sense, which ones are age appropriate, or which ones we're really going to have to tell folks you need to go home and talk to your parent or guardian about some of this content. So this kind of brings us to the curriculum from the video to the 2008 health standards, which is kindergarten through 12th grade, to the California Healthy Youth Act. And when we investigated this a little bit, working with the county office and a group that was also reviewing the laws together, even with the adoption of the 2008 standards, teachers were still not addressing the curriculum in the classroom. And part of that has had to do a lot with, we were not training instructors in order to do that. So what the California Healthy Youth Act does say is that the content must be taught once in middle and once in high school. It must be medically accurate and objective. HIV content must be taught by trained instructors, regardless of the grade. So if you are going to open up that door, you need to be ready to share it and present it in such a way that is going to be, again, medically accurate, objective, and something that you've been trained in. Must be appropriate of all students of all sexual orientations, genders, ethnic, and cultural backgrounds, and may be provided prior to grade 7, which is what Mount Dabo has been doing since I taught it, and that was 20 some odd years ago. All instruction and materials in all grades, according to this ed code, including elementary, must be age appropriate, must teach respect and skills for committed relationships, provide knowledge and skills for forming healthy relationships. So it does go into quite a bit of depth that if you are going to be instructing in these areas, you need to be trained to do so. So where did all of this conversation start? It actually started in 1516, where the county folks met with district office staff, including teachers on special assignment, and they started to take a look at the 7th and the 10th grade curriculum, which of course had different components and different requirements based on the 2016 Act. And so they started to take a look at what we had, did a similar kind of side-by-side comparison, did what we had as a district, address these standards as well as the new law. They found it didn't. So in fall of 2016, they started to send letters home in preparation of the change in the instruction. In winter 2016, the 7th and 10th grade teachers were trained in Positive Prevention Plus, which actually was something that was discussed as a county group as a comprehensive set of materials where teachers would be trained, and then the binder of lessons, which were again open to the public to review, were going to be utilized in 7th and 10th grade classrooms. That kind of brings us to 16-17 last year, where we continued to meet. Actually, Karen and the middle school staff, as well as TOSAs, continued to meet as a county healthy committee. There was a matrix developed kind of comparing our material, which again was the tiny binder and the video, to the 2008 standards as well as the California Healthy Kids Act. And we analyzed that it really wasn't meeting all of those needs, and if we were going to teach it in 5th grade, we would need to beef that up. And then district staff attended a training to take a look at what this would look like in a 5th grade classroom, training on the 3 R's, which is rights, respect, and responsibility. This content, or these sets of materials are being used at the elementary level in Fremont, Livermore Valley. Martinez and Oakley are actually doing training in it in August. Sacramento City, San Juan are also using it to our knowledge, because we did also want to check the temperature in areas around where we live. So that brings us to 17-18. In the fall, we did provide information on family life in the parent information packet. The letters that were referred to by some of the speakers were sent home, letting folks know there's going to be a change in curriculum. Information, with actually all the materials were available at the Willow Creek Center, so folks could take a look at them at their leisure. And then fall and winter information was shared with the principals as well as teachers. This was coming down the pike. January was full of materials again for viewing. 5th grade teachers all attended the training. There was a lot of support with that. And then parent and guardian letters were again sent. In March, there was a parent information night. And again, what we really wanted teachers to do is not feel like they had to come down to Willow Creek, but we continue to try to push out. These are where the links are. This is where you can get more information. And then as of now, there's ongoing site presentations happening. One of the schools actually is having, as I did, I remember when I was principal, I would always have the materials out and have my own parent night. Because you may want to ask the teacher, you may not want to go to Willow Creek, you sometimes just want to be there to look at it and then have somebody to be there to answer questions. So several of our schools are hosting. Something to add is all through the Youth Act does talk about the opting out. And so that was also something that was listed in the letter too. And it's not an exhaustive form or something you need to find online. There's really a communication between the family, the teacher, and the principal, letting them know that they were not interested in having their students receive that information in that classroom, and then an alternative assignment would be given. So wanting to push out there as much as possible. So I'm going to ask Karen Clark to come up, who does have quite a bit of information about the lessons, because the lessons are different. And they're ones that do address quite a few areas, not only in the standards, but also in the Youth Act.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Meyer. I attended the same training that the teachers went to with the group in Oakland that was put on by Cardia Services. And Cardia Services was the same group of presenters that provided the training for Positive Prevention Plus for our middle and our high school teachers and students. They were recommended because the presenting was very good, very thorough, and Christina Barra, who is the middle school support admin, attended with us and knew their work, so we went to the training. It was very, very good. Again, having looked at the health standards more deeply and seeing what we were actually supposed to be covering. And I too, like Jen, I have two sons who've already graduated from College Park a long time ago, and it was the exact same video when they were in 5th grade. So it's definitely not current. The other thing when we met as a committee and talking about it that we felt was a real game changer for parents and families and students is the internet access. So poor Cheryl's heard this 3 times, but when I was young, I had access to 3 TV stations, and it's a very, very different climate out there now. You know, typically by the time stuff hits my office or Mr. Espinosa's office, it's a higher level than a principal can manage, and it might surprise some families with the knowledge base that children have nowadays versus when you really could contain what your child knew versus now borrowing somebody else's smartphone or getting on the computer when your parents aren't home, or sometimes inadvertently hitting a site that something shows up that you really weren't expecting. Coming from the standpoint of student health, getting accurate information, the thing that I think was a little bit fearful about just using the video is that there's no script with it. So the teacher can, go this way or that way with it. The curriculum the 3 R's curriculum is semi-scripted. So it helps teachers stay on track with accurate fact-based information. There's also a lot of training around not doing personal overshares as the instructor, that you're there to answer questions in a respectful manner for students. And also to refer them, a lot of the discussion was when to refer them back to their families, that you don't necessarily answer every single question. You refer that back to a parent or a trusted family member, a pediatrician, things like that. So you don't, I think it helps contain the conversation to where it should be for the 5th grade standards. I did send Dr. Meyer the PDFs of each of the lessons, so you can have access to those rather than trying to find them online. They are accessible online, but I thought it was easier just to download the actual lessons for you. Each of the lessons, there are 11 of them, relate to a 5th grade health standard. So it's not listed on there, but it's listed in my notes here. Some of the standards, figuring out friendships, relate to standard 4 on interpersonal communication. Throughout, as Jen said, throughout the health standards, beginning with kindergarten, it really talks about talking to your family and a trusted adult in your family about things that you would be worried about, whether it's peer relationships or puberty, any kinds of questions. And that thread goes all the way through the health standards, and it comes out in almost every single lesson in the 3 hours. Lesson 2 is taking a stand against bullying. Again, that connects with our interpersonal communication standard. That's in Ms. Mason talking about, the safety thing and the number of students that are victims of bullying. A lot of schools use life skills, the PBIS, steps to success, soul shop. But I don't think we can say it enough times to students, especially in this climate of being kind to each other. The third one is being clear with your friends, and I think that came across with the previous speaker that was up here public speaking, is demonstrating refusal skills and protecting your personal boundaries. And that's, again, not necessarily all about sexual relationships. It's about setting your boundaries of, I don't want to play with you. I don't want to smoke cigarettes. I don't want to go to your house. I want to, abide by my parents' rules. And how to set those boundaries. It's not easy, especially with social media. Number 4, your body, your rights. This lesson talks a little bit about sexual abuse, and there are laws out there. One is Aaron's Law and Jenna's Law, and related to California, it talks about age-appropriate content for K-12 in sexual abuse and sexual assault awareness and prevention. And I can give you some statistics on the amount of percentage of sexual assault with kids that are under 12 years old. So it's a delicate conversation, but with those statistics, I think we would be doing a disservice not to discuss it. Number 5, making sense of puberty. That's very similar to the video, growth, development, and sexual health, recognizing that there are individual differences in growth and physical development. As we all know, the age of puberty has dropped, so I think it's more common for a young lady to have her period at 4th grade versus 9th or 10th grade, so that is also a bit of a game changer versus the 60s and the 70s. Lesson 6, sexual reproductive anatomy. Again, this is something that we've been teaching for years and years, talking about the human cycle of reproduction. Lesson 7, puberty and reproduction. Again, just the reproductive cycle of birth, growth, age, and death. And it also talks about the structure, function, and major parts of the reproductive system. So kids won't be surprised in understanding the purpose of an ovary, for instance. Lesson 8 is, this is actually a 5th grade standard in California standards. It's also in the national health standards. And it's learning about HIV. And it's standard 1.4G, defining sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV and AIDS. And then describing how HIV is and is not transmitted. And with those standards and this lesson, teachers were given some pretty explicit practice and discussion on how to handle that type of a conversation and when to stop and when to refer it back to a family member, which I think is, as the state requires the Healthy Youth Act, the teachers have to be trained. Teachers that were trained in Positive Prevention Plus in 2016 have continued to be trained. We continue to send them out for training if they're new to the middle school or high school and teaching the HIV lessons and content around sexuality. Lesson 9 is What is Love Anyways, and that recognizes that there's differences in growth and development. It also comes back to how to talk to your parents, guardians, and trusted adults and using them as resources. Lesson 10, I Am Who I Am. This one, 10 and 11, gender roles and gender expectations. This aligns with the California Healthy Youth Act. And in that, it's Ed Code 51933, parentheses 6, and it quotes instruction and materials shall teach pupils about gender, gender expression, gender identity, and explore the harm of negative gender stereotypes. And that's related to lessons 10 and 11. In addition to some of the other work that was done this year that Jen mentioned, is Dr. Meyer did ask me to put this information on the website, which was done a little bit before spring break. The translation has been done. It may have been posted since I've looked at it. It was Monday. And she wanted me to put down 5 frequently asked questions, like what's come up from teachers, what's come up from parent phone calls to me, principal questions. The first one was why the change, which we've addressed. The second one is why is it recommended that lessons be taught with both genders present? And that one was suggested by our presenters. It was felt that when you divide the boys and the girls, it becomes a little bit more of a mystery of what are they learning versus what am I learning? And we also have to address kids that might be in that LGBTQ area, other than forcing them to make a choice of which room you would want to go into. So it's definitely something we could look into down the road, but that was recommended for this year. Can my child attend just a few lessons and opt out of others? There's a whole lot of training is around setting the classroom culture. There's actually little icons that the teachers use to guide the conversations, to make it a super safe place for kids to ask questions. And we felt jointly with the teachers' input too, that kind of dropping into one lesson and out of the next might be a little bit awkward for kids that were in for the full run, and might also be awkward for kids that opt in and out, not having heard the prior conversation. Again, we can look at that again next year. Question 4 was, why are we talking about students with about sexual abuse and sexual harassment? And statistically, 1 in 9 girls and 1 in 53 boys under the age of 18 will experience sexual abuse or sexual assault at the hands of an adult. 34% of the children assaulted are under the age of 12, which is it's frightening. The next one was, how do I opt my child out of instruction? And with that, it was merely to send an email or talk to your teacher or principal, and you don't need to give a reason why. Just let us know that you want your child opted out of the instruction. And I did want to respond to one point that was brought up earlier. The feedback that I have gotten from teachers, which would not contain every single 5th grade teacher, but it has been positive, and I have gotten several thank yous for having a curriculum and not leaving the conversation so broad that they feel like they have a guide and they have a better ability to answer the questions, because we did a lot of role playing and a lot of, we actually called it questions of dread, and the teachers practiced how to volley that conversation in a safe tone with students.
So kind of in closing, we do have some thoughts about next steps. We are a learning organization, and there's obviously some areas where we would definitely want to improve and learn from our community that has been sharing information with us about what they'd like to see in the future. So certain things that we've already put into place are presentations for all of our parent groups. So information's already been presented to the CAC and the DLAC. We'll also be putting this on the agenda for the future PAC meeting. We've already talked about it a little bit at our last meeting, but we'll have some quality time with it at our May meeting. We want to continue to make family life content and opt-out information available to families. So they can go on and take a look at the PDFs, the website, take a look at what we have posted on our parent portal. So they are knowledgeable about the content. Working with our principals to plan additional parent and guardian education nights that are currently happening. It's something where, as we're looking for next year, it needs to be less of a recommendation and more of a requirement to make sure that everybody feels that they have access. And I think probably the most important next step we'd like to do is convene a meeting with community members, parents and guardians and staff to debrief about the 17-18 implementation and develop more of a TK-12 kind of continuation vertical articulation plan. So we can make those adjustments and modifications necessary to meet the needs of our community as we look to the fall of 2018. There's quite a bit of content in here that is just absolutely imperative that we make sure that we cover with our young people. Making sure our classrooms are very inclusive in all manners and nobody feels like they're being singled out or made to feel that there's some type of topic that is too scary to have students hear. And so how do we do that in a very respectful manner of our families who have different thoughts and ideas about family life and health education? And bringing this group together, I think, will help round out perspectives, experience, voices, so then we can go into the future and have a little bit more of a clear, transparent conversation about what we want to have at all of our levels, not just the elementary, but taking a look at elementary, middle, and high.
Thank you. Mr. Lawrence, I think you indicated you might want to have some questions at this time for discussion.
So, aside from being able to go to Willow Creek and view it, can parents have the curriculum emailed to them? Do we make it available that way?
Do you want to come up and there's so many things? Yeah. The link has been available since September. I did get a couple of parent phone calls asking for the PowerPoints that the teachers were using, so those were forwarded to parents that requested them. There was also we did questions that teachers had at the end of each session. So there were 3 cadres of teachers that had 2 full days of training, and so any questions that they had that ended up on the chart paper, the trainer was extremely thorough in responding to every question that every teacher had, pretty much from start to finish.
There's also binders in every 5th grade teacher's classroom, so a lot of the parents have been going to them directly and asking to almost check it out. Yeah.
And then why didn't this come to the board?
Honestly, when this started in 15-16, the 7th and 10th grade had already launched, and we followed that same model. And I think that's where our misstep was. There was very little information shared. There was a lot of information shared with teachers, I should say, in the school sites about how their curriculum was going to change. But when it came to a full-blown adoption, that is what we're used to, this was treated a bit differently. It was more providing training for teachers and some handouts in a binder form for teachers. It wasn't really seen as a super daunting shift in curriculum. And so I believe that was our misstep. So I think as we take a look at our next steps is taking a look at that, convening with this TK-12 vision in mind. So it's not just a 5th grade conversation, but 7th and 10th also had major adjustments, and circling back on that to make sure that we're comfortable as a community about how this builds over time. In the future, we are expecting that in 2019, the health framework will be updated. Now we know the State Department is very busy, so who knows whether or not it's going to be a 2019, but we are predicting that it's going to be pretty similar to the national standards, which are pretty rigorous when it comes to this topic. So we're a learning organization, and it's something where, looking back, it should have been something that was presented to the board as new curriculum and not just new training and instruction for teachers.
And I would share, that's exactly correct. But we were very used to, just as educators, having at 7th and 10th grade this topic. We've had
when I first came here, we had people coming to the board to speak about Planned Parenthood or other information that was going out to the schools. So I think when it shifted, there was a big jump in elementary from that video that you see to the 11, chapters on the different topics. And the there's about 2.5 chapters, 8, 10, and 11, that were the ones that were very new conversation. So I agree that 7th and 10th had a change, but to me the 5th grade was the biggest jump. And so I see as well that a new curriculum textbook type of thing has traditionally come to the board, but this is definitely something that in hindsight we should have talked about earlier. But that being said, you can see as soon as we really started to hear more about it, there was a plan put in place, a timeline put in place, and really an interest in seeing lessons learned from this first year. So a lot of questions came up about, are those 3 sections 7th grade standards or 5th grade standards? That was a question that we found out are different nationally and statewide. So it's a topic that there is really not a decisive answer. And then the other questions Karen mentioned, the 5 questions, those were many of the things that we heard from principals and parents that were biggest concern to them. So to kind of circle back to you, Mr. Lawrence, the 5th grade, I believe the 7th grade shift, we've been used to having this conversation in 7th grade and in high school. And so that 5th grade jump was a product of being in a very different place than most places in California before, but then moving to the front of the conversation with the new materials. So it was a big shift.
Okay. Hanson, you had a couple questions?
Yeah, I did. First, the meetings with parents and community is great. That's going to be very important and probably never stop, because I think we got it here in board meetings from a few folks, and I think it's good to go to the source where there's staff present and people can really act quickly on those suggestions. But the second question I had was around staff training. So as this progresses, I know that you've taken on this curriculum. As this progresses, what's the support or professional development in an ongoing manner for teachers who have to deal with these sensitive subjects?
This would be the same as we've done with Positive Prevention Plus. That this year there were over 105 teachers, including some special education teachers that were trained in this. I guess if you want to go to it again for a refresher, you could. If you were new to the grade level or you switch schools, then we will ensure that every teacher is trained exactly what they're doing with Positive Prevention Plus at the middle and high. In that case, it's an invoice. I believe the Positive Prevention Plus have gone to Alameda County Office of Ed for some training to get the new teachers new to that content area trained. So we would look to the same thing. I have my master list of the ones that were trained this year, and then if there's shifts in grade level, then we would ensure that those teachers are trained.
So what about site debriefs or district adjustments, say 5th grade teachers coming together to reflect? Because I know you've got an opportunity for staff to debrief.
Yes.
Is that in a kind of an ongoing manner?
Yeah, that would include teachers, because I want to get their feedback as well, because they're closest to the students and the questions that came up. I will add, just when we did do the questions of dread portion of it, there were several teachers who have taught 5th grade for 20 years. And while, some of this content is new, lessons 10 and 11 predominantly are newer, and the HIV lessons. The other questions, these teachers were like, this one's been coming up for 20 years. So, as soon as the kids throw them out there for shock value to see what the teacher will do with it. And sometimes it's a genuine question. You're really not sure. and you don't have parents that you could ask those questions to. But definitely want to revisit it with all of our stakeholders. One of our other parents that spoke tonight, I met with last Friday for about an hour, and we debriefed and came back and forth. And I said, come be on the committee when we wrap up the curriculum, because I want to hear the more conservative side, if you will, versus bring all the information we can. Kids need to know it, so we need everybody's opinion on that.
So teachers at sites would be discussing how these lessons went, because I think you said it's once a week for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
11 lessons.
Yes. So I'll pull the teachers. I know the ones. Well, I don't know all of them by name, but 105 of them. But again, I would want to in that committee bring teachers that thought it was the best versus some with I was very uncomfortable with something, and try to figure out how do we not eliminate the topics and everything, but how do we just round it out or massage it into something where we can come closer to an agreement for those that are in opposition to it.
Okay, and because I think that's important that teachers learn from each other and listen to what the parents have to say. But my final question is around one of the comments we did here at the board meeting were kids whose parents opted them out, and some concerns that I don't know quite how to say this, but that how many students opted out or their families opted them out?
Not all sites have started. So I know Mountain View has not started yet. I don't supervise, but I coach 15 of the school sites. And when I talked to my group of principals, there were very few opt-outs. So one of our school sites did, as Jen said, did a family night, and it would be one of our school sites with a very active parent population. And once the parents had, the information and the teachers were going, look here, this is what this is, and yes, it's a diagram, but yes, it's going to be okay. They had, I believe, 3, if not 4 opt-outs. Another one of our schools, I know is probably closer to the end. There was 1 opt-out, and it was religious reasons. It was a Mormon child, but I personally have not, any of the sites that I've talked to have not seen a big opt-out movement. In fact, Bancroft was up there for another reason, but she, was very fond of the program and suggested that any of you would, if you'd like to make an appointment to come in and view a lesson being taught, they're kind of in the middle of it, to come on in, her doors are open, and come view a lesson.
So really just the last part of that was the concern I heard, and it's not widespread, it's just a few opt-outs, and is the students or parents who may opt their children out, how did they interface with 99.5% of students involved in that? Is there any kind of conversation around not making it you're sort of blacklisted or ostracized or uncomfortable because you're not part of that conversation, and how all that functions? That's sort of the fallout, I think, when you have this curriculum, which I understand you want to be very current, you want to be very factual, you want to be very objective, you want to be very non-threatening to parents raising their children. But what about the children who have opted out, and is there any kind of concern in that area or conversation around how you don't ostracize them or you don't point to it?
Yeah, we did talk about that with principals, and making sure that the kids that do opt out are not just doing some sort of busy work. The other conversation was that making sure that if when you're teaching the lesson during that opt-out period, that the students know that the conversation ends when that 35 minutes is up. And if you have questions outside that you can have, a question and answer box, so that a question, wouldn't come up outside of that. Can we ensure that the conversation isn't going to happen on the play structure between the opt-ins and the opt-outs? No, but that's
But there's an awareness raising of
Yes.
not ostracizing or not
Yes.
having some sort of bad vibes going.
Yes. And our teachers are so compassionate. They, they're sensitive to the kids and the families, and many of our teachers are parents as well. And you want to. I think 99.9% of our teachers are very conscientious about making sure our kids feel safe.
Thank you.
Okay, and yes, my questions were around, which has been answered, the number of teachers that were trained and is it ongoing? And also, why it didn't come to the board, which I think I've got enough of an answer on that. The only other thing that I'm curious about, the other districts that are using it, are they using it in their entirety? Are they using parts of it? Or is part of it being done in 5th grade and the other part of it being done in 7th grade? Do we know that?
Well, I know Fremont is doing a combination of 4th and 5th. The couple that are up in Sacramento are 5th only. Martinez and Oakley are adopting or will be training because it's the same Cardia Services doing the training. Positive Prevention Plus came out with an elementary, a 5th grade curriculum after we had gone and seen the 3 Rs. I did ask the trainer last week. I'm like, is one better than the other? And she actually felt like the 3 Rs had a little bit more interactive lessons with the kids. They're both semi-scripted, but Martinez and Oakley will be training their 5th grade teachers in Positive Prevention Plus, which I think the thought was is because they're using it at the middle and the high school that it would be a continuum of the same curriculum, but it wasn't available then. There is a cost for Positive Prevention Plus. It's $300 per binder. This is all free and downloadable, which I kind of liked because if you were a parent and wanted to look at a lesson, you can find it. There's also all sorts of resources at the back. There's teacher resources in the front, statistics, and all kinds of information that you want on the topic.
No, I don't have a question. I want to share that I am heartened to hear that the information was available to parents over an extended period of time. And I, being the daughter of a registered nurse, I'm afraid, well, I'm not afraid, I know that I had information more frequently and more in depth than most of my classroom peers. So the information on the, yes, parents are always shocked, even I was shocked, but the information was readily available for me, and we always use technical terms, and so that there wasn't a mystery around different body functions, etc. So I do believe that the open education is important. I will strongly support the opt-out program for parents, and I truly believe that we need to be respectful and assure that students feel safe when they do opt out with the rest of their peers, because it is hard to be an individual and stand alone and stand tall.
Yeah,
So,
I view it similarly to if you have a pull-out for a special education student. If that student's pulled out, 3 times 45 minutes a week for a resource or something, you want to make sure that that child doesn't, that they feel comfortable that with, leaving the room, and that there's never anybody making fun of them or anything like that. So it's a little bit similar to that, and teachers are good at that.
So did we provide any curriculum materials for the teachers to use, a bank, so to speak, of materials to use for those students that were opted out, so that there's consistency and that there was a quality instructional piece to it?
That's a good thought that we can add to our plans for next year. Some of that gets a little tricky because we don't tell teachers when to teach what they have, their standards to teach. So, if say Bancroft was teaching a fifth grade language arts writing lesson that, these kids were going to work on an additional related lesson to that, it might be different than something that Ren was doing that might be related to, writing about an artist or something. But it's definitely, we could have a pool of lessons like we have for the 3 R's available for the teachers if they wanted to use it, just to ensure that they were getting, that time was very well spent on fifth grade standards.
Or perhaps during your debriefing meetings this summer, you could say, if you had a student or family that opted out, what curriculum did you use to ensure that the student was receiving high quality instruction?
That's a great idea.
So I had a conversation with one parent who was concerned on a number of levels, and I understand that you can communicate and communicate and communicate. There's always going to be people that somehow didn't know about or whatever. So you can't do too much of that. But she particularly talked about the videos, and so she actually sent me a link to the videos, and so I just wasn't sure how those are used. It seemed to me that I didn't sit and watch every single one of them, but how, clearly some would not be appropriate for fifth grade, and so how are those used? And then let me just add, there was one that, I'm very supportive of this curriculum, so just so you know that, but there was one that caught my husband's ear too. He was sitting here listening, that, I had some concerns about in terms of kind of stereotype male image of, whatever, so I could be more specific with you, but, in terms of decision making or, whatever. So, and I think my own personal experience with my children who are much older, and, going through that, I've probably talked about it, and the fact that, they're usually ahead of you and wanting the information before you're ready to talk about it. But I think the other thing is, maybe it's just me, is that the animation approach, I think is probably someone decided that's really a way to engage young people. But there are times when I feel like it's almost like making light of a serious subject, so. But anyway, so my bigger question really is, does everybody use the videos? They can just pick and choose. Have you all seen every video yourself?
I have not looked at it. So it's through amaze.org, and some of the lessons use a video, some of them don't. You could use them, you didn't have to use them. Some of the teachers were still really, really tied to what their past practice was with this video. They weren't prevented from showing the boy, man, girl, the woman video if they wanted to include, that versus the amaze.org. That the videos aren't mandatory, it's just another resource. They wanted to use it. If you want to email me the name of the video that you had concerns with.
Someone,
Yeah.
Mine probably was you, sent this person a link to the video, and she just passed it on to me, so I would just encourage you to look at them all carefully.
Well, but
I'm really curious to know if anyone else is reacting the way I am.
Some of the videos through amaze.org really are more for the middle school and high school.
Yeah,
So I don't know if the video you were looking at, whether or not that was intended for fifth grade content or not.
She's actually the second person I've heard, so I didn't hear from 40, but I've heard two who had particular concern about the videos, who specifically talked about that. So I would just say, I would appreciate if you looked at all of them, because I'd love to know your thoughts on
Okay.
So.
That brings up another question, if you're when you're finished. How does showing these videos that are used for the instruction of a specific curriculum intersect with our video notice to parents when a teacher is going to use videos in the classroom? Were the families given the information that videos were going to be shown ahead of time? Because we do have a policy on video use
So I just asking,
The link to amaze.org was given out, but not the specific video, so that's another good point.
thank you. Thank you. All right, that takes us to the consent agenda. Items listed under consent agenda are considered routine and will be approved or adopted by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. However, any item may be removed from the consent agenda upon the request of any member of the board and acted upon separately. And we have a speaker card here from Mr. Ferranti to speak on a couple of them.
Good evening again. Items 15, 31, and 32 is a pair, and 33 and 34 is a pair. Now, I think I've been around the block more than once or twice with bidding and with bids coming before this board. So I'm a little concerned with these two in that 1531 is for a little over 4 million, and 1532 says it's for materials for 1.6 plus million. So my question is that 4+ million strictly for labor or profit? It doesn't include material. And 15, 33, and 34, the same question. We're looking again at over 4 million for what? For work, but is that just labor and profit? Because 1534 goes with 1533, and that says it's to purchase materials. I've never seen a bid process like this before. It's always been, company A got the award, they're gonna go do it. There's never been a special or a one-off for material. So, can somebody give me some understanding here, please?
We will see if we can.
Thank you.
There's someone here that can speak to that.
I'm waiting for a signal. Mr. Jackson, could you please explain your understanding of this?
Yes, good evening, board members. Yes, these are packages that we pre-purchase the materials. We've done this in the past for HVAC. We've done the same type of thing. We would pre-purchase the materials to save costs, and then we would contract out the labor portion. This is the same identical thing that we're doing in this application. Is just trying to cut costs and doing so. We repurchase all the materials, and then we contract out the labor portion.
Is there a percentage that you saved doing this way? Or?
Well, typically is anywhere from, I would say, 5 to 10%, depending on what the costs are. Because that's this portion that the contractor typically just marks up. So that is the way the process we've done it. Trying to save costs on the project. So we've done it in the past for HVAC, and for windows we've done it. We've done the same thing. We've repurchased them done as well. So we've done it a few other times as well. Any other questions?
Okay. Does the board have any items they'd like to pull?
I'd like to pull 1511, please.
Okay. If there's no others, I will entertain motion for the rest.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the consent agenda item with item 15.11 pulled.
Second. You.
500. And now, 16.1 is the contract between Exploring New Horizons and Mount Dale School Districts. Trustee Mann?
So I was just saddened that Ignatia Valley Elementary School was unable to secure funding and was wondering how the school site would be able to participate in another similar experience, and if we know what their plans are.
I know that YV Elementary, they were taken out of this contract, so this is a decrease in that contract. And as a result of discussing it today, we have been in contact with not only legal counsel, because we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way and providing where we need to, but also the campus to look at what other things, finances as well as options that we could have for the students based on the fact that they were pulled out of this. Thank you.
So that clarifies answers my question. So I move that the board adopt the contract, the amendment to the contract between Exploring New Horizons and Mount Diablo Unified School District.
Second, since nobody else is.
And that passes 500. Alrighty. Do we have any communications?
Yes, we do. Right. Very patient, Mandy. Yeah, right. Anita Johnson. Communications.
I startled her.
Yeah, you did startle. Sorry about that.
Good evening. I am Anita Johnson, President-elect of Mount Diablo Education Association, and I wanted to talk with you about two things this evening. The first is to thank you for the resolution on the Day of the Teacher. We really appreciate that recognition. And also to make sure to invite everyone in the room to the Academy Awards. The purpose of the event is to celebrate the work that we all do in the district by recognizing selected individuals as representatives of their groups. And we do recognize teachers, staff members, administrators, community volunteers, and parent volunteers. The event will be held Thursday, May 10th from 5 to 9 at Center Concord. Tickets are available through Eventbrite. So we are in the 21st century now. And I do have flyers if anybody wants the information, and that we hope that you can join us. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience, especially.
She waited 3 hours to do that.
All right, now we're on to business and action items. 19.1 is public hearing for resolution 17/18-42 to increase statutory school facility fees imposed on new residential and commercial industrial construction. So I declare public hearing, and the public can come and speak to us about it. They don't have to have a card for public hearing, but I don't see them running up to the podium.
No more public comment cards.
Can I close public comment now? Public hearing? No one here? Okay. We close public hearing. That was for information only. 19.2, comprehensive school safety plans, which is for information. And I will just say a lot of information is included in those plans.
Yes. Tis this season, you do, and we do appreciate people's feedback when they do talk about the California School Safety Plans. So these are plans that are reviewed by School Site Council. They're reviewed by law enforcement. Often they're invited to the meeting. Everyone is notified that we're taking a look at it. Throughout the plans, as you noticed, a lot of the information has been redacted in order to make sure that we don't over communicate about our plans in case of an emergency. I do want to acknowledge that we have 3 sample plans that we attached to the board item. We've got Ignatia Valley Elementary, and we have Martha Thomas sitting in the audience. Thank you for staying, who can answer questions about the elementary level. We have Shelley Bain was going to be here, but she got ill this evening, but I'm sure Jonathan Egan sitting there, he can cover whatever questions you have. And then Lindsay Castellano, who has been here being recognized as a model continuation school, she had to stay in order to answer any questions about her own safety plan, which is actually pretty complex with the programs on that campus. So we appreciate, again, your feedback on the plans. We're always looking to improve. And again, this is for information tonight in hopes that by the next time they come for approval, we will have all the plans available.
I'd just like to say, as a high school principal myself, it's always been kind of nutty that administrators and staff were writing these school site safety plans. I'm not going to go on long about this, but I just want to give a shout out that Dr. Meyer, and I don't know who else was involved, started to do a collaborative effort with our local police departments around school safety, and you mentioned in passing the collaboration potentially of the police department, and I always thought not to dump it off on them, but they're far more knowledgeable than those of us who are just, have our administrative credential and do other duties as assigned down at the bottom of your contract. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that. That's a wonderful connection because they're so much smarter at things than we might be as school administrators.
And that was organized by Chris Holloran.
Oh.
Wherever he is, thank you.
I would like to also recognize Lori O'Brien, who is the lead in working with the school sites in order to make sure that we go for the pass, no pass, making sure they're solid plans, but we also try to streamline them enough so we don't have these plans that are just so entirely crazy that they're just way too much information for anybody to digest. So they've morphed over the last couple of years. If you notice, the real working part of the document is the beginning, and then at the very end are all of the different policies in order to make sure that they understand where they're really supposed to be doing their best work.
And that redacting now is more important because we were always trained to provide transparency, be very open, give a lot of information, and now we understand there's a healthy balance to keeping our students safe.
So I thought they were great, really. And I mean, you can tell that people are sort of following a template now, and it just makes it easier to read and kind of see, if there are differences, what they might be. So I don't know if this is appropriate for these kinds of plans, but one thing that popped into my head was around, I don't know if they do anything at the site level around cyber safety. We've done it with the speaker series. It's clearly, it's just at the event that we were at, the School Board Association, there's a topic there. And so, and I don't know if the template is given to you or if it's something homegrown by Mount Diablo Unified, so it could be added, or I'm not even sure it makes sense to add it, but it's just a question that occurred to me that is a huge safety concern across our system.
It certainly is. I have to say that as a topic is hit very hard on in their student parent handbooks with information. It is hit in their discipline policies. I once actually heard a middle school principal share with me that 80% of the discipline that he sees in his office has to do with the cyber bullying and just, drama that just ends up just leading right onto campus and causing a lot of, just a ruckus. So I'm not sure if this would be the right place for it. But I do believe that it's part of the discipline part of it. And it's also part of the data. So that might be a place to weave it in.
I could see when you're working on the K-12 health articulation that we talked about with the last topic, that you would look at age appropriateness for cyber safety at every grade level. And, it would go, into topics that get more adult as they get older, but it really does fit into health and precaution and who you talk to and what you share. And so it really is a mental health, physical health issue as well.
And I would just say, even though they're a template, it was clear from each of the examples you gave that they really, especially Olympic, put a lot of thought into things they've had to deal with and how they could do better in the future and how they realized there was some additional training and things that they needed. So it's a template, but they're not just filling in the blanks. They're thinking about being very thoughtful about what they put there. And as far as meeting with the law enforcement, I think that's just something we've just barely started, and I expect that we're going to do a lot more of that, because I know from our lieutenant, he really was on board with, we need a code for an active shooter that is universal everywhere across counties, but particularly across the county. So wherever a police officer is, if they hear that code, they know what they need to do. So we will continue to work on that.
Because we have so many groups that we work with, that's a great idea.
So I just want to be careful that we are sharing accurate information. To my understanding, law enforcement has been an integral player and always invited to participate in the safety plans. And I'm hoping that our audience doesn't get the takeaway that this is just something new that we've started. We've expanded the collaboration with our law enforcement agencies across the district, and that will enhance our safety plan and the safety of our faculty and students. But they've always been there. They've always been invited to the table.
Yes, and this was more of a cross-agency task force, if you will.
That's what I'm referring to right there, is I want to showcase that and applaud that, because I think that was a great proactive step and collaborative step.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's unsung heroes here.
Absolutely. Thank you, principals, for staying.
Yes, we do. Thank you. Okay, 19.3, renewal of Contra Costa County Community College and Career Access Pathways Dual Enrollment Partnership Agreement for 2018 and 2019. Information. Anything on that? Any discussion? Concerns? We have our expert here. She's not saying anything, so I think I'm looking at you, Mr. I'm thinking we're good there. Okay.
We love this.
Yeah.
No, we love this. This has to keep going.
Yep. Okay, 19.4, public presentation of initial successor agreement proposal for California School Employees Association and Mount Diablo Unified School District's initial successor agreement proposal to CSEA. Again, this is for information. If anybody had any comments or concerns that they wanted to share. Okay, pretty standard. All right, 19.5, resolution number 17/18-48, authorizing dedication of easement to the Contra Costa County of Contra Costa for a portion of district property located at Northgate High School. This is for action because we talked about it at our last meeting. Dr. Meyer.
I just wanted to correct my misinformation from the last meeting. I had stated that the easement went right in front of the marquee, but instead it's on the other side of the driveway, and the purpose being to go into the park, because I had a great question about why is the county paying for this. Thank you, Ms. Mayo. And so it really made a lot of sense now that they were gaining access to that park to the right of Northgate. But this is a wonderful thing. We're glad they're paying for it, and I recommend approval.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion or questions, whichever is appropriate.
Madam President, I move the board approve the resolution and the dedication of the easement to Contra Costa County as presented. Second. At Northgate.
Okay.
Not the entire district.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you. All righty, that passes 5-0-0. And that takes us to 19.6, actually. The fiscal transactions for Lakeshore Learning for the month of March 2018. Trustee Mayo?
Madam President, I request that a voice vote be taken. I will not be voting on this particular item as it is potentially a conflict of interest. My husband engaged in a construction process project in the east in the fall of 2016. The work has been completed. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will entertain a motion on this item.
Madam President, I move the board approve Lakeshore Learning transactions for the month of March 2018.
Thank you. Second. Motion and a second. Trustee Lawrence?
Yes.
Trustee Hanson?
Yes.
Trustee Durkee? Yes. Trustee Mason votes yes. That is a 4-0 vote. We do not have to do a meeting extension, but we do have a couple documents to sign. Having said that, we are adjourned. Thank you.